Take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by FYF Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, a.k.a. Coop A. Fiasco. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon. As that beautiful song said, joined, as always, by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What's up? Good morning.
Did you guys have a good weekend?
It was a really good weekend.
Really good weekend.
Nice.
Man, nice.
It was a nice weekend.
Well, Coop, I mean, nice is great, but I want to hear about the really good one first.
Yeah, well, we can go to that one first.
Anything that made it really good? Anything in particular that just pushed it over the top, or just a really good weekend?
Well, my brother got married on Friday,
Oh,
so that was pretty fun. Went to the wedding and celebrated, hung out with my family, talked some sports with my nephews, nieces.
What kind of dance moves you pull? What's your go-to dance move?
Low-key dancing. There wasn't much dancing because it was a smaller wedding.
So you weren't out there like doing the worm, rolling the dice?
No, but they did play "This Is How We Do It," which I thought was a funny song to play at the wedding, and I was dancing to that one as I was walking around.
All right,
This
dude.
is how we do it.
There you go. Drink in hand, pumping them up. All right.
Bumping them up.
Got to do. Tommy in the chat saying definitely the sprinkler. Yeah, you got to mix in some sprinkler.
Get a little sprinkler in there.
Me and my crew, especially my bride and I, we like to do the shower. You familiar with that one?
What's the shower? No, I'm not familiar. Can you show us?
So you go up to, it's a two-person dance. You go up to one person and you hold your hands up like this. And then the other person goes like this and turns on the shower. And then you hold your hands up onto above them like this. And then they pretend they're taking a shower.
That's it.
You know,
I like that.
Yeah,
Two-person little.
it's nice, dude. Yeah. So it's like, but all my buddies do it too. So just at my wedding was just like a bunch of drunk people walking up to each other being like, do the shower. You shower me. You shower me, dude.
No, you
It's like a bunch of you ran up and showered each other. Was it like four people showering one person?
Yeah, dude. They were like 100. They were 100 showers, dude. It was kind of just like a big locker room. That's what my wedding was. It was.
Coop's like at my wedding, it was a bunch of dudes showering together and playing dodgeball. That's a Coop wedding.
Coop family wedding.
Just like we drew it up, dude.
Auntie Coop had the same thing.
Oh, Auntie Coop was there. She was showering.
She was showering
while screaming her love for Darren Waller. Auntie Coop is that she just runs around screaming how much she loves Darren Waller all the time.
And that she is or was a Rams fan. And Jared Goff is her best friend.
Big Rams fan. She also just likes really nice players that have really nice smiles. So Darren Waller fits right in that category.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that's how he won my heart, was with that smile. Just sucked me right in.
Angel.
Tommy in the chat with the yo. Time for the show. Happy Monday.
Hey,
Monday.
Hey, oi, hey.
Oi, hey, oi.
Oi. Time for the ploy. I forget what word he used that rhymed last time. Tommy also saying definitely the sprinkler. It's all about the sprinkler. And
Tommy stays on that sprinkler. He doesn't stop.
Sprinkling a little dust. I'm stealing that move. Was somebody sprinkling some dust around here?
I think it was kind of the shower. I think it was the shower, a little dust sprinkle. It's open for interpretation. If you don't know what's going on, and most people don't, then that's how you might interpret it. And I think that's okay.
I think I'm gonna start calling showers dust sprinkles.
Dust sprinkles.
I need to go take a dust sprinkle right now. Just hop in the dust sprinkler. Get a little clean, get a little sprinkle onto my day. And Craig said, hopefully no golden showers. Coop, were there any golden showers on the dance floor at your wedding?
I don't know what that is. What is it, Simon?
Oh, it's where you pee on someone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Golden showers, in case you were curious.
Yeah, there was.
And so, wait, let me break this down for you.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Normal shower, it's water.
Yeah, okay.
So instead of water, it's going to be urine from another person.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mama Grunewald, welcome in. Happy Monday.
Look, Simon's mom is here. Good morning. Excellent.
Good morning, Mom. And that's what a golden shower is, in case you wanted to know on this fine Monday morning.
I know. I taught you.
She already knew.
Well, in that case, yeah, there's quite a bit of that.
It's like, oh, that's what that's called. We were being crass and just called it peeing on each
Mostly
other.
that. Yeah, it was
We
mostly
kept
that.
calling it the shower.
You mean just a normal shower?
Greg also said, fellas, I'm sick. Saw no football yesterday. I hope you stick to just info on games and no shenanigans like normal. We got you, Craig. Absolutely. 100% guarantee we will never, no more shenanigans today.
We probably should have
Starting
read
now.
that. We probably should have read that comment first before we got into the shenanigans.
Yeah, before we start talking golden showers.
All right,
Guys, it's the time of the show where I think we need to discuss the things that we want to discuss. Break down some of the news that happened over the weekend. Bring it up. We're calling this BYOB. Bring your own breakfast. We got the stories for you, but you better have a Pop-Tart or a biscuit or a cup of orange juice ready for yourself because we can't supply it.
Keith is cheap.
Keith is cheap. I don't know if you guys saw this, but yesterday after Geno Smith threw a second interception, they showed Pete Carroll on the sideline. He was kind of barking at him, and then Geno turns around, and Pete Carroll just goes, like hand down, and just like a full, like it was like full dad, like just wow, breathe, Geno, you got this. And it was such a like moment of like that dude cares about Geno. Know what I mean? It wasn't just like a let's go out there and win this game. It was like, oh, they love each other, don't they? And I almost wanted to cry watching it. It was Geno's like, okay, I got this. And all Pete Carroll did was yelling at him. Geno turns around and he goes, hand down over his chest, like
it was very Mr. Miyagi, I felt.
Yeah.
Right, dude,
yeah.
He just like whacked
dude,
on.
Pete Carroll 100.
He is like 100. He's the oldest coach in the league, older than Belichick, even
right?
though because how grumpy Belichick is. Belichick seems a little bit older. And Pete
He
Carroll's
does.
such like
he really does.
He's like such a gum chewing politician type guy. So you think Pete Carroll might be not as old, but he's older.
Taking his shirt off.
Pete Carroll coached the Patriots before Belichick. That was the last coach they had before Belichick.
I legitimately expected his age to be 90 when I looked, and then I realized that's probably not fair. I don't know that that's fair. He's 71.
Pete Carroll didn't say Carroll is the youngest octogenarian in the league. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know what his key is to looking a little bit younger, but Pete Carroll doesn't look 71.
He looks like a politician from Massachusetts that should live on like Martha's Vineyard. Does he not? Though he's got like that vibe. Like he's not a Kennedy, but he's like a cousin of one.
It looks like if I saw Mitt Romney at dinner, Pete Carroll's the guy sitting next to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's just at dinner with Romney and it fits in place. Like they're in the same reading club, sitting down at that table.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
I can't not picture him now in like a politician suit, just like smoozing and boozing. He looks at Mitt gets off the stage after a speech and it like bombed, and he looks at him and he just goes, "Yeah,
don't worry, we'll get rid of healthcare one way or another." It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be all right.
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way.
We'll get rid of Social Security. Don't worry about it. We'll get him.
Miyagi's Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. Breece Hall got injured this weekend, guys. Did you end up seeing that tackle?
I think Breece Hall's got a torn ACL. Did they confirm that? That was the rumor.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if they confirmed it.
Did
they?
No, I saw from Rich
Robert
Sabini,
Saleh
like last night saying that it didn't look good and they suspect an ACL, but I haven't seen any update this morning.
Let me
Robert
ask you this
Saleh
question.
says the team believes Breece Hall suffered an ACL injury.
I cannot
which usually
remember.
means he does.
I was gonna say I cannot remember one time where they were like, "We think he tore his ACL," and then they were just like, "Just kidding." Like,
yeah, the team won't say that if they're not like pretty sure.
It's almost always the case. So unfortunately, that's rough. I had a kid on Reddit ask me if he should do a trade. He was like, "Should I trade Kyle Pitts for George Kittle?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "If you can get away with it without like hurting your starting lineup, like trading away somebody that you're not using on your bench." And the trade ended up being he gives away Kyle Pitts and Michael Gallup, and he gets George Kittle and Michael Carter. So that dude, and the trade went through before the week. So he gave away a dude that had 9 yards and 0 yards, and he got back a dude that had 80 yards and a touchdown and the new RB1 for the Jets. So that
Yeah,
trade
that
worked out pretty well for that kid, I'd say. He came back to me. He's like, "Thanks, dude. You're the man." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't make all that happen."
I didn't do all. I'm not a magician.
Can't take much credit for the Breece Hall injury or for Michael Gallup getting 0 points. Like I can't take all that credit. But hey, George Kittle, the Pittsburgh Kittle move, that was, you can give me credit for that one.
No, the Breece Hall injury though, like I feel like it was extra difficult to watch because he's a young player that everyone's just now getting excited about. It feels like this is the week where everybody was bought in. Know what I mean? Where like the conversation shifted from, is this dude an every week start, to, is this dude a top 5 running back rest of season? Know what I mean? Like that's the conversations we were having about him. And then he goes out there, rips off like a 70-yard touchdown run. So everyone's hyped to the planet, like about this guy. You know, the common phrase, hyped to the planet. Everyone was that hyped
all the way. I want to get that going.
All the way to the planet.
All the way to the planet.
I know I watched him run that in and I was like, God, he's so good. Man, he's so good. He's so good. And then he goes down like, man, that's one of those ones that just like rips your heart out and golden showers all over it. Like it was just awful.
Why couldn't it have been anyone else? I feel like you're right, dude. Like,
this isn't like a game where like,
let's list players we would have preferred. Let's start the show by listing players that we preferred to get hurt to Breece Hall.
Coop views this is like predestination. Like this weekend, the NFL gods demanded 2 ACLs. It didn't matter who they came from. I don't think that's how it works. At least I hope
it might be how it works. I think it actually might be.
But if that is how it works, and we have to choose, let's do this. Let's go through this exercise.
No, absolutely not. I will not name a player that I wish an ACL upon. No way in hell.
Not that we wish an ACL upon, but if we had to choose, who would it be?
Is there anybody that's been like convicted of like a hate crime at any point? Tyler Higbee.
That's the route I'm
Tyler Higbee, I guess.
Yeah, I'll co-sign on that one. But again, I wish, even amongst my worst enemies, I don't wish a torn ACL or personal injury. It's their livelihood at stake.
I do.
People can put stuff behind them. But Breece Hall, man, God, I hope he gets better. I hope it's not a season-ending injury, but if it is, looking forward to next year, man. Hopefully he can get back on the field early into the season next year and just continue killing it.
I see Josh Pope in the chat said, fellas, what up, Josh? He said, do we officially know Breece tore his ACL, or could it be?
We don't know for sure.
We're not seeing a doctor confirming it, but the team says they believe Breece Hall tore his ACL, which what Coop was saying is it typically when a team says that, it gets confirmed within a few hours, if not by the next day.
So the trick, what you're going to want to do is stick with us for the full 3 hours. Download the Better Sports app, BETTOR. Give it a 5-star review, and the moment that news comes in, we'll let you know. Sound good?
Perfect. What a great plan. I know I'm doing it. I'll stay here for the full 3 hours now, so Coop tells me whenever it's official.
5 stars, maybe write something. I'm not going to do it. Jail or something.
Also, Craig, this is a roller coaster of a comment. Nick Chubb was thought to have torn his ACL in college. He did not, but it was like every other ligament in that knee, and it was really bad. So it could be something worse. Thanks for that, Craig. I really don't. Craig's like, don't worry. It doesn't have to be an ACL. It could be much, much worse.
He thought he tore his ACL, but actually that was the only thing holding his knee on. Like, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Josh says my sleeper app will let me know.
Damn it, for it again.
No. Part of the deal.
That was a whole business plan.
Yeah, but will your sleeper app show you their feet? Because I will, if that's what you want, Josh. I'll put both my puppies up on the screen if that'll keep you here instead.
Get them up.
Get them up.
Yeah, that wasn't the only big injury yesterday. Like, to be honest, this offseason especially, I feel like we were blessed a little bit injury wise. The past few years we lose guys in the offseason for the whole year. I mean, we lost the entire Ravens backfield last year, but this week we saw guys and the extent of the injuries to aren't known 100%, but we saw DK Metcalf got hurt, Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt, Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, Russell Gage, Nico Collins, David Njoku, Chuba Hubbard, Mike Boone, Ryan Tannehill. All those guys left the game yesterday.
Corey Davis.
Yeah. Corey Davis left. Russell
Gage.
Yeah, I said Russell Gage.
Yep.
Daniel Bellinger's eyeball almost came out. That was gross. Did you see that?
Ryan
one?
Tannehill.
I
No.
missed that.
Oh,
His
no.
eyeball almost popped.
Gross.
Bellinger got hit in the eye, and like there was like blood everywhere. He had to go and have like surgery, but they say he's gonna be okay. Like they said that they don't think he lost his vision, but he got hit in the eye real hard.
They don't think he lost his vision.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You could see the blood coming out of his eyeball.
That is
Remind me
very
to
crazy.
not Google that. Every part of me wants to Google that, but I know all I'm gonna do is the next words out of my mouth will be, "Why did I Google that? Why did I Google that with all the blood?"
No, it wasn't that bad. Like I actually did Google it because one of my buddies was like, Bellinger's eyeball came out, and I was like, sick. But it actually didn't. It didn't.
Mike
as far as I know.
Garoppolo reported that Bellinger was an ophthalmologist on Monday in New York.
Well, hopefully,
isn't that a guy who discovers birds?
That's ornithologist.
Ophthalmologist?
Ornithologist.
Ornithologist.
Gotcha. I mixed up those ornithologists.
Yeah.
Classic mistake. David Njoku also was injured. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Yeah, I saw that as well. He has a good game.
Jordan wants to know,
that too.
Is there anything more terrifying than a tight end with an eye patch? Coop, how does the eye patch factor affect your tight end rankings if Bellinger comes out with an eye patch on next week?
Got to move those guys up. Got to move them up, dude. Pirate factor, especially honestly, I was off Foster Moreau this week, but if he was wearing an eye patch, got to get him in a lineup, especially DFS.
Forget depth perception. Doesn't matter. If you got an eye patch on, your badass factor goes up so much that it does not matter that your depth perception may be
Don't
thrown
matter,
off.
dude. No.
Do you guys know if you're right eye or left eye dominant?
I've done this before, and the answer at the end of the day was that I don't care.
That's
that
fair.
helps.
Yeah,
How do you
thanks.
tell? I think
You
I'm
put
right.
your finger out in front of you and you put it in front of an object, and whenever you close one of your eyes, it's no longer going to be in front of that object. Whenever you close the other eye, it will be in front of that object still.
Now
Whichever
remember.
eye is open, whenever it doesn't move, is the eye that you're dominant with, because that one is going to dominate like the location of objects in your vision.
Doesn't it matter which hand
doing-
you use though?
doing that
Did you
really-
use
No,
your right
because
or
your
left hand?
hand. Nope, because your hand, like whatever it is over, whenever both your eyes are open, it doesn't matter where that object is, because whenever you close your non-dominant eye, it's going to move off center from that object.
So yeah, doing that
Off center
just
for both of
now
mine.
really it reminds me how little it matters.
I care.
And if you are right eye dominant in the chat, smash that fun button. And if you're left eye dominant, get out of here.
Hey, I'm left eye dominant. It was my problem. I took an archery class in college, and for the first 2 classes, we did not touch a bow and arrow. We had like a 40-minute lesson on dominant eyes, and then they gave us a piece of string that they wanted us to put tension in and pretend like we were shooting a bow and arrow. And then I dropped that class, because if I'm going to drive 20 minutes in the middle of my day during college, I want to shoot a bow and arrow. I don't want to play with string.
You weren't going to shoot.
Like,
wait,
I'm not
throughout the entire class, you weren't going to shoot one?
I'm sure we were, but like it was 2-3 hour classes. I'm not just sitting around there like 6 hours before they put a bow and arrow in my hand. At the Renaissance Fair this weekend, I gave them $5 and they just handed me 8 arrows and said, "Go wild."
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like they just said, "Go ahead." Like,
But
there's
you didn't
a
know
bunch
how
of
to do
other
it.
people
You
here.
dropped out.
Oh, I got a sticker and everything. You wouldn't believe it, Coop. I hit the bullseye 1 time out of 8.
I don't believe it. So it went a lot better
Pretty
than
impressive.
your bowling date with a bowling
It
major.
did go better than my bowling. Tommy, in the same way, we know how bowling turned out. You should be careful, Simon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't the most dangerous thing I did this weekend either. There was another place where I could give them $5 and they gave me 6 throwing knives to try to throw into a target. And I'm standing with a bunch of other people. We've all got throwing knives in our hand. That was much harder.
Didn't you also play Demolition Derby this weekend?
Yeah, I lost. I lost in Demolition Derby this weekend. They got me pretty good. That one cost more than $5 though. It's not the best bargain at the Renaissance Festival.
No, it's not.
I
Glad
see
to hear
Josh
glad to
asking,
hear
what's
you're
the
okay.
word on James Robinson injury? The latest, I mean, we haven't gotten a ton of news. Doug Peterson after the game said that he's not sure. Like they're just waiting kind of until James Robinson is back to 100% before working him in, and that Travis Etienne has been, adequate enough essentially. They don't need to rush James Robinson back, but nothing firm on his injury yet. What's your guys' take on the whole James Robinson situation?
Kind of pours a little cold water on the Travis Etienne breakout that James Robinson missed a little time there. But if he does miss extensive time, maybe it's wheels up, right? But I think tomorrow, once this information clarifies for all of us, it's going to make for a very interesting waiver wire bracket tomorrow for the boys, right? There's some names up in there. So this is a big week for waiver wire.
Yeah. Honestly, I think maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic that ETN has like wrestled control of this job regardless of the injury. ETN looks great out there. Like he just looks like a phenomenal football player. He looks better than James Robinson. So
let's go.
I think even if James Robinson's fully healthy, he'll get more carries than 0, which is what he got this week. But it's going to be primarily Travis Etienne's backfield in my mind.
When finally
Travis,
ETN season.
When Travis Etienne scored, did you guys storm the field like a bunch of Clemson fans when you were double-digit favorites?
Absolutely. Pulled my pants down and said, "I told you so," to the entire world.
Flip the coffee table.
Yeah.
I almost fell for it, Coop. I almost fell for the Clemson bait. That is the classic Clemson bait to dangle in front of them. Say they storm the field after, like, I almost fell for it. I almost was like, we do not storm. And then I was like, no, he's messing with you, Simon. He's just trying to get a Clemson reaction.
Almost, we got there. Dude. How'd you guys feel about that though? The Clemson storming the field, 14.5-point favorites.
So I will say, this is where the bait comes in.
Yeah.
There is a tradition, for those of you unfamiliar, at the end of every game, Clemson students and fans and players meet on the paw in the center of the field to sing the alma mater. So if you're not used to watching Clemson in primetime, it doesn't matter if it's a noon game against the Citadel and we're 40-point favorites. It doesn't matter if we lose to the number 1 team in the country at home by 30. You will see Clemson fans jumping out of the stadium to meet at the paw in the center of the field to sing the alma mater together. Now, don't get me wrong. Some games have more of a storm the field vibe.
Yeah.
Like some games you are rushing out there, but it is tradition after every game to meet out there and sing.
Even if you lose?
Even if you lose, win or lose, meet at the paw, sing the alma mater together.
Is there like a sad version? When you lose, is there like a really sad, slower version?
No.
Where the tigers play. Everyone's just crying. Hear the sons of. Let's sing the whole alma mater together.
It sounds, when you sing it slow like that, it kind of sounds like one of those like Game of Thrones things, dude. You know, like the.
I'm now imagining really like a horror movie like intro sequence where like it's just that song being like mumbled by like a cult, like the Clemson fan base. There's now like a Clemson cult, like. And then you just hear them like whispering it behind you as they walk up.
Said that I should bow so low. Like it was like
Greg said meet at the paw sounds like instructions on a treasure hunt. It is, and the treasure is your family, the Clemson family. Jay, and you're saying good morning. What's up, Jay?
Good morning, Jay.
Glad to have you in here, my friend.
Hello, Jay.
Jimmy said Sarah McLachlan sings a song when they lose.
In the arms of a tiger.
A bunch of puppies storm the field.
Those commercials are brutal.
They are brutal. There's a couple commercials that'll make you cry, but those are near the top of the list.
Those commercials,
that one gets you every single
time. Those commercials
time.
are single-handedly creating cat ladies. Like, no question about it.
For only $1 a day, you can save every kitten on planet Earth.
And more.
Guys, yesterday, did you see Juju Smith-Schuster is quoted that when asked about the chemistry between him and Patrick Mahomes and this offense this week, he said playing Call of Duty Warzone with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and MVS on Friday, they won 3 games in a row. He says that is what the difference was in their chemistry today. He played Warzone with the Chiefs squad. They won 3 games in a row, and all of a sudden these dudes are in lockstep. Is this something we need to watch out for? The Chiefs Warzone crew?
It's the new Breakfast Club.
I could just picture the 4 of them playing Warzone against just Kyler Murray. And it's just like it's just like watching a Cardinals game.
Scrubs.
It's just like watching a Cardinals game where he's running around all by himself trying to make things happen, right?
I'm imagining him with like 3 12-year-olds on his team, though. Like Kyler Murray's got 3 rando children on his team with him.
Get him, Kyler.
Which of those 4 players do you think is the best at Call of Duty? Like who's really carrying the team?
Patrick Mahomes.
I picture Mahomes being the kind of guy that like he has a good kill death, but he's not racking up a ton of like kills. Like he's just got like 10 kills, but only like 2 deaths. Whereas like
I feel like Mahomes is the guy that just like he cares so much about his KD ratio. He just sits in the corner.
Yeah.
He's like too afraid to get killed, so he just sits there and like throws knives at people.
Right.
See,
I don't know if he
view
can still
him as
throw
just,
knives
like,
at people, but
They can
running
turn it
around,
over.
taking crazy shots, reckless. Like he's like no scoping it the entire time, just like rounding corners, like similar to like his sidearm throws. Like I imagine him being reckless, like squirting ketchup into his mouth while playing with one hand. And everyone's like, "How is this dude so good?" But he's single-handedly carrying the war zone.
Wording ketchup onto his steak. I picture MVS. MVS is definitely the dude that's just like chucking nades, like long range. He only, or like maybe like a sniper. He's a long range player, high A dot Call of Duty player. like he doesn't get a lot of kills, but when he does, it's like a snipe from like across the map.
miles away.
Yeah.
What's Kelsey doing out there? I'm having a hard time visual. One, if they're playing on an Xbox, I just feel like that dude's hands are so big that whatever controller he's holding is going to be like really cumbersome to play with. Like it'll be like me holding like the Nintendo Mini or something like that.
Dude,
I feel like Kelsey's the guy that's like trying to organize everybody, just getting like way too into like pretending like it's a real military exercise.
yeah.
Is it flank left, Alpha team?
Yeah, I pictured him being more of like the dude that just like has like the cheapest shotgun in the game, and he's just like auto shotgun killing people, and then just like
Grenades.
nuts hacking them. You know what I mean? Just like
just teabagging.
teabagging everybody, dude. Like he's the exact kind of dude I feel like it's one shotgun kill, and then he gets killed while he's teabagging that person.
And MVS is just happy to be there.
Yeah,
Thanks for inviting me, guys.
just hanging in the back.
And Juju's the only person playing remote. The other three of them are all playing in the same room, but they didn't tell Juju that they're meeting up to play together. So he's in his own house playing, thinking they're all in different places. Then he like hears in the background, like, "Yo, Patrick, grab me another one." He's like, "Whoa, what was that? No, that's my cousin Patrick."
Oh, they're
He's
like actively trying to keep it from him.
Yeah.
Right. And then
He's the nuke.
Sky. Yeah, Sky Moore's not even playing. He's just there in case somebody runs out of batteries.
He's the
He runs to the
self-proclaimed
store
alternate.
every time.
They haven't told him he's the alternate. He just caught wind of what was going on, so he shows up every week ready to go just in case.
He's getting everybody like drinks and snacks, which is basically what like just returning punts is.
Greg in here saying, have you guys mentioned that you're having a dragon on the show yet today? Talk about burying the lead. We have not. We got House of Dragon on today. Tyler Dragon's coming on later. Talk some game recaps with us. Good friend Tyler Dragon.
Yeehaw!
I wish my name was that cool.
That is a pretty badass name. That's a pretty
Dragon.
awesome. I don't know. Grunewald is almost as cool as Dragon. One thing it has in common is everyone can say it first try.
What's the first image that comes to your mind when you hear Grunewald?
I tell you right
My
now,
father,
dude,
but I'm a little biased.
Until this very moment, I've never said Simon's last name out loud.
You did the old avoid. Simon
Grunewald. There it is. Feels good.
There it is. Grunewald.
Pete said cheese. Joey said a block of white cheese. And Tommy, very similar, said Grundle is what he thinks of whenever he says Grunewald.
I think of like
excellent.
The
Very
Shire.
nice.
The Shire where Bilbo lived. That's what I think of when I think
it does mean, Joe, you're pretty close. It means green field. Whenever you translate it to English, is what Grunewald
That's
means.
nice. Do you know what my last name means when you translate it?
Bitch.
Dog.
Sorry.
Wow, both correct. Different dialects. Bitch dog. Yeah. I mean technically those do mean the same thing. No, it actually means it's an old name for a barrel maker. A cooper. It was a job that was a barrel maker.
Is that why there are a lot of Coopers? Is it like one of those names that got passed around?
It's like Smith, right? Like blacksmith or whatever Smith, and then you were Smith. Like Cooper. At some point, there was a very handsome gentleman that made barrels, and that's my family history right there. What about you? What's your last name mean?
My last name means carnation or like rose in Italian. I remember in elementary school, my music teacher was Italian, and she lost her absolute mind over the fact that there was a kid in my class named Tony Flowers, and that both of our last name was Flowers. She'd mention it every day, and I was like, I get it.
My wife's last name. Do you know what her last name means? It's Rose.
Oh,
does it mean Rose or is it Rose?
It is Rose, but you know what the meaning
also means.
It also
Gross.
it also means Garofalo.
I don't know why,
or
but that-
carnation.
Carnation. Oh,
That question made me think of one of the most infuriating conversations I ever had. It was on day one of my intro to logic philosophy class. Like I'm sitting.
Did you
in
take
there.
any real classes? Like, did you have any math classes?
I got a freaking electrical engineering degree. I took so many math classes.
Just
An
doing
absurd amount of math
bowling and
classes.
archery and philosophy
My
and
my degree is
singing.
literally just mathematics. But in this class, he asked
chanting.
us. He said, "What is the essence of a table?" Like you were saying, like what is a row? Like what is the definition of rows? And we were like, well, it has 4 legs. He was like, well, this doesn't have 4 legs. Is this a table? We were like, well, yeah, that is a table. He goes, okay, well, that's not the essence of a table then. Like, does it require utility? Like, what makes a table a table? At what point can you look at something and say, that's a table? And you know what the answer was? The answer was, there is no answer. This is philosophy, you dumbass. Like that was how the conversation ended.
And that's when you dropped that class too.
No, that's when I said, I love this. And I took 10 more philosophy classes because it was that was refreshing for them to say, like, you don't know the answer? Neither do I. Instead of the engineering professors.
And that's okay.
Like, you're an idiot.
The engineering professors were like, you made a mistake on step 3 of this 370 step process, so everything is wrong.
The whole thing is wrong. Nothing you can do to fix it either. Right. The engineering professors were like, you haven't been to class all semester. Why on earth would I pass you? And my philosophy professors didn't say that one time. Just rude, honestly. We had some questions in the chat that I wanted to hit, guys. Jay came in here saying, when you guys get a chance, I needed some advice. I have a pretty solid starting lineup, and I can elaborate if I need to, but my bench is unique. So they have Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton, Odell Beckham, James Conner, Brian Robinson, and Gerald Everett. Should I pick up Paris Campbell, George Pickens, or Deonta Foreman? So looking at the players that he's got on his bench right there, would you pick up George Pickens, Paris Campbell, or Deonta Foreman?
So,
I would rather have Pickens than Odell.
Yeah. So think about Paris Campbell, who I pretty much invented, by the way, as is that he's going to end up being. I mean, I did tweet about him before yesterday, saying that he would be. I was like, what if he's this year's Hunter Henry or Amon-Ra St. Brown? People got very upset at that notion. And then what happened? He went out and had 10 targets again. What's up? I'm a genius. But anyway, he's looking like he's going to be a full PPR only type player. When you look at his ADOT, when you like, obviously the 10 targets are nice, but he didn't crack 100 yards. Like he's looking like kind of like a Curtis Samuel type. Or I mean, honestly, if you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, like last year, like most of his games, he was getting 12 targets and he wasn't cracking 100 yards either. Maybe he could be a Amon-Ra St. Brown light. I think given what you have on your bench, you don't need a player like that, right? Like you have Cortland Sutton on your bench. What are you going to use Curtis Samuel or Paris Campbell? So for me, I'd probably go for Deonta Foreman out of that group. Give yourself the highest shot at upside. What do you guys think?
It's exactly what I was going to say. Go for Deonta Foreman. You don't need either of those wide receivers. It doesn't help your team all that much. I can't imagine you plugging either of those guys in without something happening to the players ahead of them.
That was exactly what you were going to say. You were going to start off by victory lapping Paris Campbell for me for a full minute.
Yeah. I was actually going to sit here and say Coop invented Paris Campbell, and I would add Deonta Foreman.
Pretty much, dude. 4-year veteran, but I just invented him with a tweet a couple days ago. So.
Yeah, Pickens out of this group to me is someone that stands out. I think I'd rather have Pickens than a few of these guys here. But Foreman definitely is the guy to pick out of this group. Just running back. Chuba Hubbard did deal with an injury yesterday. Do you have any update on that? I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I do. So
ankle, right? I don't think he returned in the game.
That's all I'm seeing is ankle and did not return to the game. I don't know if I've seen additional information after that. But if he does miss time, it's hogs up for Deonta Foreman. Otherwise, it's just like a half hog for Deonta Foreman. If Chuba Hubbard's in there as well, because both these guys are looking like they're going to get a decent number of carries.
What happened? What happened? Carolina, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't know. I really feel like I know this is so just like BS baloney, but when a coach leaves and a team all of a sudden just looks like a different team out there on the field, you think like Man, they really hated that guy, didn't they? Like this is a celebration of joy that he's gone, is what it felt like. I don't want to just put that on Matt Rule, but these players seemed excited to be playing for someone not named Matt Rule, is what it
happens. Like. It happens. The Jaguars, where Meyer left, looked great, and like now, I mean, they come out and beat this team. I think I did a really demoralizing play early in the game for the Buccaneers. Kind of set the tone. Did you guys see the Mike Evans drop?
Yeah,
super.
Yeah, that turned a good
drop. Yeah.
And they would have a great game for him instead of just a good game. Yeah.
Right. And they would have, the thing is, it's like that play happens and it's a total shift. Like sometimes you end up on tilt. They were clearly on tilt throwing that many passes and having to go down the way they did. So I don't know. Pretty scary.
I see Craig in here saying Giselle is a witch who has now cursed Tom. I'm not buying into this narrative. I'm buying into a different narrative. There's a witch involved, but I don't think it's Giselle. And I think Giselle's the only other one who knew the terms of the deal that Tom Brady made with said witch. There was a time limit on when this was going to expire, when his skills were going to come back to earth, and he hit it. But he thought, you know what? I've been practicing long enough. I can play even without these witch bestowed powers. Giselle's the only other person on earth who was aware of it. She got out instead of her being the witch that's cursing him. I think she was just aware. That's not fair. We have no other evidence that she's a witch. I don't want to put that on her, but she knew what was coming. That's what we do know, is that she was aware of what was coming.
So I actually did hear that when Julian Edelman got suspended for PEDs, the PEDs were witch related. So
wow.
Probably all visited the witch at the same time. In my opinion.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys about this fantasy matchup I had last week?
No.
But what is that? Does that have to do anything with witches?
Nothing at all about.
Okay, we'll get back to witches later.
Then yes, please. Tell us.
So I have a dynasty league. This is commissioned by Simon. This is our first dynasty league. It's a 10-team dynasty half PPR league, and it is IDP. We start at kicker, we start defensive lineman, a linebacker, DB. It's a pretty decent dynasty league. So last week I'm playing my buddy Pat, and it gets to the end of the game, and we tie. It comes down to Monday Night Football, that Los Angeles Chargers game, and we end up with the exact same score of 100. Let's see, it was week 6, right?
Yeah, that would be last week.
Yeah, 134.92. Mike Williams catches his very last catch in that play. I think it went to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. That last little catch gets to be a half a point victory. And so I win going out of Monday. And then all of a sudden, Wednesday, stat correction. Devin White actually got a full tackle, which gave him an extra half a point.
No, dude.
Tying us again. So now in fractional scoring, this has never, ever happened to me before. In all my time playing fantasy football, I tied. We both scored 134.92. And now my record's 2-3-1.
That's so whack, dude.
What are the odds?
I would have
IDP stat correction. Dude,
IDP sack, like just the IDP throws like so much more variance into it, you'd think.
And dude, in it's not even like you were playing, like, because there are leagues that don't do fractional points, and there are ties all the time in that, but fractional point ties, that's bonkers.
It's like, well, yeah, I think all the combinations of things that had to go right in order for that to tie. That's crazy, right?
Every decision that you guys made led to that moment. That was serendipitous, dare I say, JL. You and Pat should buy lottery tickets and make out while watching The Notebook or something, just to commemorate.
Every Friday we do that.
He's like, again?
Gotta make out.
And Craig said, welcome to IDP. They have bunches of corrections each week. That's funny, though. I thought you were going to go the stat correction made you lose the game, but the stat correction bringing you to a tie is pretty funny.
I wasn't even mad. I was kind of happy because it was like, wow, it's like bingo card. Like, this has never happened to me before.
Yeah, but now you have to stare at your record with that one at the end of it the rest of the year.
I like it. It makes me unique. I stand out now.
Probably would have been more happy if I didn't tie and if I just won. But
yeah.
I've never seen anybody with a tie in their platform. This is I've never even seen it. Looks so cool.
And Craig said in his home IDP league that is 11 years old, we have had one of those fractional toes over that time. So you had a fractional tie, but Craig had a fractional toe sometime in the 11. Is that like a fractured toe or
you had like Jordan Reed that year that he had the bones taken out of his foot to get back on the field?
Just a fractional toe.
That was the worst.
Fractional toe. I was like,
just chop it off at the knuckle, the top toe knuckle.
Any day that you feel like you're being overexerted at your job or your boss is asking you to do a little too much, just remember that Jordan Reed had bones taken out of his foot so he could go back to work.
Hal said Reed, what a constant disappointment, except when he wasn't, except when he was healthy. And then every time he was healthy for a couple years there, it was like you could just count on him killing it for 1 week and then he was going to get hurt again. But like when Jordan Reed was healthy, it was one of those players. It was like, yeah, just play him, but have something ready for next week because you're probably not playing him 2 weeks in a row. It's
Right.
pretty brutal. And Halson, yeah, it was 6 games in 6 years. Yeah, that sounds about right for Jordan Reed. Guys, coming up, we're going to be playing some fact or flash, talking about what we saw this weekend and if it's fact or if it was just a flash in the pan. We've got some hypothetically coming up for you this Monday as well. And we'll be talking about Monday Night Football and doing a player prop draft, going head to head, picking out some player props. And then we'll talk about this weekend's games with our friend Tyler Dragon, who's going to be joining the show a little bit later today as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo used to get teed up in the 2000s. In the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at, like, Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory like about their family or something,
right,
yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We were just talking a little bit about toughness on the field and these players. We were talking about Jordan Reed. Tommy came in and brought in Ronnie Lott. Craig mentioned Ronnie Lott as well. So I had to do some Googling, and I just want to read you guys a little bit of I knew who Ronnie Lott was. I didn't know the full story behind this finger being amputated, but it was the last game of the regular season. He broke his pinky, And they were going to the playoffs the next week, and he had an option from the doctors: either put a pin in it, you're going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, obviously miss the playoffs, or we can amputate the top of your finger and you can play in wild card weekend. You can play right away. And so he chose that second option. And then they lost in the wild card round that next game. And this quote is just brutal. He's sitting there saying, he said, "I was trying to laugh it off, but I felt sick." He said, "I tried to stand up, but I broke into a cold sweat. It was just a total shock. I thought, oh man, I should have had the pin put in it." So he was sitting there like, I lost. And then he said, it gave me if I ever become a coach, I hope I never lose sight of the fact that players are people. They feel, they have emotions. I could have all of Eddie DeBartolo's corporations, and it isn't going to buy me a new finger. It has given me a new perspective on life." Dude, yeah, I'm not getting.
So he lost the finger?
The tip. So if you look at the picture,
off,
they amputated the tip of his finger so that he could play. They wrapped it all up, and he played like in wild card weekend after having his finger amputated, the tip of his finger cut off.
I did not know that story. That is psychotic.
That's insane, that dude's, and then you know what? But I like the openness about how it made him feel afterwards as well, right? Like he's this big badass dude, and he's willing to tell, like, yo, that sucks. Like that really sucks that I chopped off my finger. I am not a fan.
What was the circumstance that led to him having to chop off his finger?
He broke his finger, and it was in the last game of the regular season. You have to remember, this is also during the 49ers, like, they were the team, like this owner had won 5 Super Bowls while he was there, right? Like this is during the 49ers golden era. They're going to the playoffs. He's one of their star players. He can choose to either have a pin put in it and miss the playoffs. He'll miss the next 6 to 8 weeks, or have the tip amputated, and then he's able to play immediately. They just got to wrap it up. So those were the options, and he chose option B so that he could play in the playoffs, go for another run.
Vomit.
Makes
my stomach.
That's my worst nightmare.
Call me a coward. Probably would have kept my finger.
Yeah, I would have kept my finger as well. Everyone watching, if this is your
put it back on.
If this is your first time hanging out with us, everyone, thank you so much for coming in. Welcome in. We are glad to be spending our morning with you. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We are FYF. And if you're enjoying this, you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed over on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. You may be watching over there already. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching here on the BSN app, head on over there after the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got all sorts of juicy fantasy football content for you right there. So make sure you're subscribed over there. Right now, we are getting into a game that we like to call Fact or Flash. This is the Week 7 edition. We're going to go around one by one, answering whether we think a player's performance this week was a flash in the pan or if they are here to stay. You guys ready?
Yep.
Start with some quarterbacks. Davis Mills threw for over 300 yards this weekend, had 2 touchdowns and an interception. JL, fact or flash for Davis Mills and his loss to the Raiders?
I think Davis Mills is a good enough QB to be a starting QB. I don't know that he'll always be a starting QB. But what we've seen, he's good enough to fill in that role. He's good enough to play a role. So I would say fact.
Yeah. So I guess it would depend on the definition, because with this player, we've actually seen him do this a bunch. Last year, even though he didn't start the entire season, he led all rookie quarterbacks in 300-yard games. I was looking at it last year, and like 18 points was what the QB 12 averaged for the season last year. And he had more 18-plus point games than any other quarterback, more than Mac Jones, more than Trevor Lawrence, guys that played the entire season. So we always knew he was capable of this. The problem has always been the bad games are Texans games that the Texans
bad,
games,
yeah,
right? The bad ones are bad. So he's always been a great best ball quarterback, but I think that this guy's highly capable of this. So I'll say fact for this player that like this isn't just like a one-off for sure. Like this guy has a bunch of games that are better than this last year, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I think it's fact with Davis Mills. He's definitely capable of this in the right circumstance.
That's what I was going to say is I think this is fact, but don't hear me saying that this guy's a like top tier NFL starting
this is life
QB.
Now. Yeah.
Like this isn't life now. This is fact. Just this is within Davis. Like this is what he is. I think he's an average NFL quarterback that can put up great games.
Yes.
I think with a lot of these games, you got to kind of, the way I kind of look at it with the fact versus flash here is that like, do I think like Taysom Hill scoring 4 touchdowns? We would all say that's flash because we don't think he can even do it one more time, let alone 2 more times. Like when I look at these, I think like for fact or flash, Yeah, do I think this quarterback can do this again multiple times? I do, right? Like, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he had a couple more 300-yard games. Would you guys?
Nope.
No, not
Not at all.
I wouldn't. I don't think that. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, maybe I'm on the other side of this, just because like I do think this is probably around like where this is like ideal case most of the time.
I guess we gotta define what I'm getting at is we kind of got to define this, because if you look at a lot of these and you say, like, for a lot of these players, this probably could be their best game. You know what I mean? So I think, how are we defining this? Like, do we?
So
think
I guess looking at this, Davis Mills was the QB5 this week, pending tonight's game. Like, he was a top 5 quarterback. Looking at that, like, being that level of QB, that's a flash. He is not a top 5 fantasy quarterback, right? Like, he can be good. This game is not indicative of how he's going to finish the end of the year. So, Coop, I like you reframing it right there. I'm going to take back what I said. It's a flash, and all of my reasoning stays the same. Like, he's capable of this, but this isn't who he is.
Yeah.
So, like,
I'm with you. Our definition of flash changes.
All right. So I guess for fantasy purposes, like, if we assume a 1 QB league, then he would definitely be a flash, because, you know, we're not sitting here and saying, oh, it's a fact, this guy's a QB1 now. Even if not QB5, I wouldn't even say QB12. So in that case, let's put him in the.
He's not going to throw that much every game, right? This is the most he's thrown in any game. Yeah, flash, boom.
We'll
get out of here, Davis.
Get out of here. We'll define it that way.
Trying to make your way into the like, fact section.
Yeah,
you don't belong there.
Run along.
My favorite part about this game is, even when we're like mean, we pick the mean option for a player, we're still calling them flash. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty badass thing to be insulted with. Like, oh, Davis Mills, flash. Like, if they're listening out of context, they could think we're just calling them really fast.
Really fast.
Like that dude.
And tell you what, we even said, like, hey, sometimes a dude flashes and we say it'll never happen again. With this guy, we say, hey, it might happen again. Just not enough.
Davis Mills is going to flash us a couple more times this year.
Yeah, just
on national television. Expect a good old-fashioned Davis Mills flash.
Hogs up and out.
Hogs up and out.
Speaking of we've got Andy Dalton, 361 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in their game against the Cardinals this week. Coop, Factor Flash, Andy Dalton.
I think I speak for everyone when I say flash. This guy was very close to not even being the starter this week. Right? It was like it felt like going into this game, it felt like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo between like him and Jameis Winston, whether they were gonna bring him back or not. So for me, I'm not even sure this guy continues to be the starter. I mean, after this week, he almost has to, but Jameis is right there ready to go. It's gonna happen at some point. So flash. I'm not adding him in any format. I have a super flex league where he's on waivers.
I feel like Andy Dalton's got some fiery nipples.
No question.
Just like full red hair, just down all the way to his like waistline.
Hey, do you think he gels them? Like, you like spikes them up a little bit?
Absolutely, he gels them. Sometimes he braids them.
And so when people try to sack him, they get like lacerated by his gelled nipple hair. He gets like woo. You ever? One of my favorite things.
That's how Daniel Bellinger lost an eye.
Go to the gel aisle at your local Walmart or something and find like the
American Crew.
No, the hardest looking gel. Like, sometimes gel companies go too hard and they're like, this gel's for men who like trucks and beef and beer and boobs and beer. This is
bloodworm gel.
Like, look, and they'll be like the gel will be like hardest steel hair gel. Like all of the titles will be like so ridiculous.
And the flavor, it smells like bear dragon sweat.
Sweat parts.
Passion bear.
And that's like, don't get me wrong, I use an Old Spice deodorant, but like, what the hell does Denali smell like? Or like
the Kodak.
cold steel. Like that's
Everglades
ash. Like, they just
all those sound appealing to me as a
obsidian.
Man. As a man, all that sounds appealing. I'm like, yeah.
What does obsidian smell like?
You know, dude. It sounds fresh. Sounds crisp, right?
Sounds so crisp. Yeah.
Obsidian, I feel like people always like make fun of girls. They're like, you'll buy anything if it says like activated charcoal in it or something like that. But like, I'm the same way. If I like go in the aisle and it says like leather and sandalwood, it's coming home with me. Right, exactly, it is a scented object that is going to be on.
We're susceptible to the same things. You know what I mean? It's we make fun of all their products, and then it's like dude can't need mustache wax.
Oh man, this is like one of my favorite rabbit holes to go down. It's also like whenever there's like diaper bags specifically targeted for men, like real men don't carry unbranded diaper bags. You must have a camouflage military grade diaper bag if you're a man.
Yeah, real men.
So Andy Dalton.
So Andy
Flash,
Dalton,
I believe is what we were saying.
Yes, I think we all went Flash on this one. We know what he is, the old red riffle.
The old red riffle.
Red
Let's move on to some running backs. Dale, we're going to start with you on this one. Deonta Foreman, we talked a little bit about him already. He had 15 carries, 118 yards this week, coming in at RB12 with 14.5 standard points. Let's see what he had in PPR. He was the RB16 in PPR with 16.5 PPR fantasy points. Factor flash for Mr. Foreman.
This is fact for me. This is fact. Deonta Foreman is taking over for Christian McCaffrey, which is, apart from some of the other names in this list who just kind of had a good game. It's a much easier case to make for Deonta Foreman because his situation changed fundamentally. Chuba Hubbard did go down with an injury, which gives him even more of an opportunity here. And I expect the Carolina Panthers to just run a lot this year, to be honest. I expect them to be very run heavy. If you go back and look at last year when Deonta Foreman played, he's fantastic. He was electric.
Mm-hmm.
He was other adjectives that are positive. So yeah,
Warning.
fact for me.
Insert synonyms here.
Insert synonym.
The thing is about this year that, so I think fact that he's got a gig in this league, but when you go through all the teams, there's not a lot of teams. So in some years you look at teams and like the bad teams especially, and there isn't a fantasy viable running back on the team at all. Like you clearly look at it and you say the best case for a running back on this team is like an RB3. A lot of the bad teams actually have pretty good running backs this year. So, there's about 30 or so guys that are starting caliber. So to put Deonta Foreman in the RB2 range is kind of tough. You know what I mean? Like when you go and you look at like even the Texans have a viable starting running back. Like, would you rather have Dameon Pierce or Deonta Foreman?
Dameon Pierce, without a doubt in my mind.
Right. Would you rather have Travis Etienne or Deonta Foreman?
Travis Etienne.
Would you rather have DeAndre Swift or Deonta Foreman? Michael Carter.
DeAndre Swift. What about Michael Carter if Breece Hall is out rest of season? Michael Carter or Deonta Foreman?
Definitely Michael Carter. They have a much better
Michael Carter for me as well.
Yeah. So like, would you have? Here's one. Would you rather have Brian Robinson or Deonta Foreman?
Now we're
that
getting
is
juicy.
where it gets interesting.
I think maybe that's where I go Foreman just because of the presence of Gibson and McKissick. And like it feels like there's a little bit more competition for touches. There's more ways the team could go, especially if Chuba's out. Like
yesterday.
There aren't that many places where the Panthers could go with the ball.
And the
right?
Panthers
like
aren't going to have. The thing is, I think this is a bit of. I'm going to have to go. And I was the one saying go and add this guy, but I think this is to flash to a certain degree because I don't think this team's going to have a lot of positive game scripts. Like this week was your classic any given Sunday game. I think for the most part, the Panthers are going to get beat by a lot of teams. So
yeah, I'm with you. Coop, I was going to say this is flash. I don't know how many 100-yard games I expect.
You're happy to have this guy though, because there will be times bye weeks injuries where you do use RB3s, but I think he's more of an RB3 than an RB2.
Jay, what about you? Did you say I'm flash? I'm flashing this guy.
You're flashing Deonta Foreman?
I'm flashing Deonta Foreman, and it's only because I don't think we're going to see like this many 100-yard performances out of him. I'm with Coop. This isn't a team that's just going to be able to run the clock out week in, week out. They're going to be in way more negative game scripts. Deonta Foreman is good, but he's not some like game-breaking running back. You know what I mean? He's not game script proof. So flash.
Can I throw a caveat on there?
Yeah, you can throw a caveat on there. It sounds delicious.
If I sprinkle a little caviar on there, if they turn around and say Chuba Hubbard's going on the IR, then I'll say fact.
Change it up a little.
Okay.
Bit. There you go.
Okay. That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's do another one. We got Eno Benjamin. He had 12 carries, 92 yards, and 1 touchdown. Coop, factor flash, Eno Benjamin.
I'm gonna say flash. I'm gonna say flash here because Cardinals played on Thursday. That means they have 10 days until their next game. I bet you James Conner comes back and plays, in which case Eno Benjamin goes back to being just kind of like a guy that plays on some sporadic pass downs. James Conner is just too good at finding the end zone for them to not use him in those situations. So I got to go flash on Eno.
Flash on Eno. Jail, what about you?
He looked much better in this game, I will say. He
did.
looked a lot better. This one's a little tricky because I think my answer depends on James Conner. Depends on James Conner's injury. I think he's fact until James Conner comes back. And then I think he'll be flash. He'll be back to flash.
Well, the good news for you, JL, is that James Conner has a rib injury, which is one of the least possible to predict when they return. So it makes our job very difficult. The rib injuries of unknown extent.
Then I will say flash.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know.
Just I'll hedge my bet.
You get a rib injury.
Say flash.
That's how it works this league. You get a rib injury, and then you're like ready to come back the entire season until you don't, or you come back for
your life.
You come back for one game, and you're like, no, that hurt.
Or you're Justin Herbert looking like a different quarterback out there every single week with his rib injury.
It's true.
Simon, did you say, or you said flash for Deonta Foreman? Did you say flash?
With a caveat is what Coop said.
I said flash with a caveat, which is that if Chuba Hubbard is actually hurt, then I say fact. And this is a guy, that's not splitting in the backfield in a bad team. But for now he is. Don't like it.
Okay. And then we're all flash for Eno Benjamin.
Gus Edwards, 16 carries, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. JL, factor flash for the Gus bus.
Oh, the Gus bus. He does this every time. This is flash. Flash for Gus bus.
I wanted it. I wanted the fact so bad.
I know.
Tell us why, JL.
Do it.
I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong again.
JL's Ravens fan, so I want to hear him out.
They're going to rotate. He got 2 touchdowns. Like he got 16 carries, which is promising. 4.13 yards per carry, which is great. But he's not going to get 2 touchdowns every game.
But he got the first carry. He got the first 3 carries.
Take away those 2 touchdowns, and he scores like 6 points.
Yeah, take 2 touchdowns away from everybody, and they all suck. Can't take 2 touchdowns from my boy Evan Engram though, because he doesn't have any.
Won't let you.
Can't do it. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's fact that he'll be the starter for the time being. But yeah, you're right. They're gonna rotate him with Drake, and J.K. Dobbins will be back, and Lamar Jackson's.
J.K. Dobbins was placed on IR, just as a note here. I don't think we mentioned that on the show yet.
4-week fact for Gus Edwards. Boom.
Yes.
Minimum.
You guys convinced that it's going to be the Gus show and not Drake working?
Think about people forget about Gus Edwards is. Earlier this offseason, I took all the running backs in the league, right? And I sorted by minimum 400 carries because that would mean that they have to be in the league for at least 2 years, right? Like no one got 400 carries last year. So if you sort by 400 carries, that means they've been in the league for at least 2 years, right? And I looked at yards per carry. Number 1 was Jonathan Taylor. And he was like somewhere like just over the 400 mark because he's been in the league for 2 years. Number 2 was Nick Chubb, right? Like we're talking somewhere around 5.3 yards per carry. Number 3 on the list was Gus Edwards. This dude,
Gus bus.
Despite, and then after that, it was a tie between Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders. But like this dude, and the craziest part about it is that he gets the short yardage work, which usually those guys have the low yards per carry because if it's 3rd and 1 and you hand the ball to a 204 Gus Edwards and he gets 2 yards, that's a great play, but it hurts your yards per carry. Not with this guy, dude. 5 yards per carry for his career. So we shouldn't be surprised when he plays well, right? Like the only reason
want to see a funny. Oh, go ahead, dude.
No, you go ahead. I was like that's why they paid this guy, and that's why when he came back from injury, no matter how Kenyon Drake played, he was a starting role. He was the big dog. So I think to a certain degree there is some fact to this. Is he going to have 100 yards and 2 touchdowns every week? No, but I think, a lot of situations where you lost running backs, like I have a league where I lost Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift, and we're happy to have Gus Edwards and Deonta Foreman in that league. So that's right.
You bring up a great point about Gus Edwards. Like he is just a good running back. Like whenever I bring up Kenyon Drake, like Gus has proved more in this league than Kenyon Drake has. There's a reason the Ravens went back to him.
They paid him a lot of money.
You guys want to hear a crazy stat line here?
I would love to.
Kenyon Drake, 11 attempts for 5 yards, 0.45 yards per carry yesterday.
Hot.
Gus Edwards averaging 5 yards a carry for his career. Kenyon Drake has 5 yards total on double-digit carries. On the same team, dude.
The attempt category be double the yards category. It's not typically what we see.
Okay,
Almost
Coop,
there.
you're given 11 carries behind the Ravens offensive line in a game. How many yards are you getting?
First of all, dude, 0 chance I get anywhere past 3 carries without getting badly injured. At this very moment, I have turf toe. So we're talking 1 carry for me. And no, I'm not getting back to line of scrimmage. Like, let's be real. I'm dead. I gotta read the play right. Like, no chance, dude. I'm looking for a good place to lie down before I get crushed by a 350-pound lineman. Let's be real.
I see a fantasy dog in here saying 10 for 119 is what he's going. Fantasy dog thinks he's hitting 119 yards, averaging 11.9 per carry. My man.
He's a dog, dude. Yeah. Me and Tommy are on the same page. -2, dude. I'm taking a knee. Like, I'm taking a knee and I'm walking to the locker room under a hail of booze. And then just happy that I didn't get crushed, dude. These guys are monsters.
They are going to save me from getting negative 100 yards because luckily they're much faster than me. So even though I know in my heart immediately I would turn around and run, like as soon as I saw these guys coming at me, they'd catch me relatively quickly, mitigate the damage. Like I'd probably only be able to get like -3 yards per play or something like that before they caught me. Let's hit another one, guys. Also, Fantasy Dog was saying that was Drake last week, not him. 10 for 119.
JL, what are you doing? I'm just out there praying I don't butt fumble. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. JL, if you get an NFL carry, do you think you get back to line of scrimmage?
Absolutely. Not a doubt in my mind. Not a single doubt in my mind.
15 plus? Which 100% breakaway run rate?
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna break off.
I mean, we did see your clip, your film running routes earlier this year, and it's
pretty good now.
Yeah, solid.
Guys, let's rapid fire through some of these factor flash here. Just let me know. Factor flash. Raheem Mostert, 79 rush yards, 30 receiving yards, 4 receptions, and a receiving touchdown. Coop, factor flash for Mr. Mostert.
Fact. Why wouldn't it be?
Dale?
Fact. I mean, Chase Edmonds, man. It's not the guy.
Fact. You got triple fact for Raheem Mostert. What about Marquise Goodwin? 22.7 fantasy points, 67 receiving yards, 4 receptions off 5 targets, and 2 touchdowns in that game this weekend. Jail, factor flash.
Big old flash. She got that on 5 targets. Yeah, 2 touchdowns on 5 targets. That's pretty wild.
Tyler Lockett was hurt coming into the game. DK Metcalf got hurt during the game. Flash.
Well, now if DK Metcalf has a serious injury or a lingering issue here, does that change your answer? No caveat?
No. This dude.
I'm saying flash, but it's a double entendre here because boy, is that dude fast. He's so fast.
I mean,
and he's like the coolest dude ever too. He's like, I just want to be in the Olympics, but I need to have a real job and make money somehow. So I play football. Right? Like he's like, Olympics doesn't pay enough. That's what I really want to do. It's like anyone that does like fantasy football on the side, like, but his real job, he's like, oh, I got to go do my real football job so I can go back to the Olympics. So I can go back to the Olympics in a couple of years. Like that's Marquise Brown. Like, doesn't get any cooler.
This is his office job to pay for his passion.
Which is like long jump. He even did the long jump after his first touchdown in the end zone. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
Marquise Goodwin.
He did like that.
That's hilarious.
He did like a little run and a long jump in the end zone. Yeah, he's that dude is he's an Olympian that plays football on the side. He's like Forrest Gump.
He's like Forrest Gump.
It's too cool. He's too cool for all of us, bro. Way too cool.
He is. What about Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster? 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. And we just got some insight into maybe why that chemistry developed. Some modern warfare coming together. JL factor flash. Patrick Mahomes' new Call of Duty buddy.
I think this is. It depends. I think this is another tough, ambiguous line here because I think we're gonna see games where Juju disappears. He's not gonna get a touchdown every game, like we've seen all season. So I'll say flash.
Fact. Coop, what about you?
You think he'll get around 25 points a game?
No, I'm not saying he'll get around 25 points a game, but I think he finishes much higher than he is right now. Know what I mean? I think this is more indicative of what he can be for this team than what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I'll say I'll say Flash. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1, which he's been the last 2 games, and mostly because I don't think he keeps up this yards per reception that he's on right now. Like a normal game where Juju catches 5 yards, he doesn't 5 catches, he doesn't have 113 yards like he did last week. And same thing with this week. When he catches 7, I don't think he has 124. I think he has more games where he catches 5 or 7 and has like 70, 80 yards. That's more of a Juju game, in my opinion. So I think he's a flash.
A flash. Fine flash from these two guys. Tyler Boyd, 8 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Factor flash for Mr. Tyler Boyd.
Even though I started Joe Burrow and Tyler Boyd in the Baby Bowl, a league in which I won last year, and I'm definitely going to win again this year, I think it's a flash because he had a 60-yard touchdown, and he's not the 60-yard touchdown guy on this team.
Nope, this is flash. You'll get games like this from Tyler Boyd. Like, you absolutely will, but they're all flash games. This isn't who he is. Joe, what about you?
Yep, I'm with you guys. Flash.
Triple flash for Mr. Tyler Boyd.
B King's in the chat saying, God morning, y'all. God morning, bro.
Ooh, God morning to you.
What's up?
What up, B Kings?
My friend.
B Kings.
Also, we didn't get our obligatory woof 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 to fantasy dog.
The fantasy.
How do we know what kind of dog? Like we're making vast assumptions here. Do you think that's offensive if like he's thinking like Chihuahua and we're out here doing like a deep like Rottweiler bark?
Well, why don't you do
his
a couple?
His pictures is the dog.
Oh, oops. Well, I didn't see
really
that,
small right now. Yeah, it's like a brown dog.
What does it look like? It sounds like JL. I can't see it.
What does it look like? It sounds like. It
Yeah,
looks like it sounds like whoa, whoa, like that.
Okay, so
Deep.
we were pretty accurate.
Simon was going to go like
yip, 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 yip. Maybe like lab mixed with pit. Fancy dog. Let us know. Let us know what your breed is.
Let us know your breed, dog.
Guys, coming up. My neighbor used to like get grounded to his yard when he was little. He'd be like 4 or 5 years old, grounded, but he would sit on the edge of his driveway. And when people would walk by with their dogs, he wouldn't be allowed to leave, but he would just yell, "What's your dog's name?" like from the end of his driveway. And like every third adult walking their dog would like come over and like just show the dog to the kid who's in trouble and not allowed to leave his driveway. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some hypothetically, and then we're doing a Monday Night Football prop draft. We're going to be drafting prop bets, keeping track of who picks the most correct for tonight's game. And then we'll be recapping Week 7's games a little bit with our friend Tyler Dragon later on the show as well. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to like, track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then like immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you like, first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's like, and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? Like he's coming over to spot it, and it's like every other time the player just like, here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley's going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's in the game. We were just playing some Factor Flash. Auto game. Perfect, JL. First try.
Nailed it.
You just mouthed it the first time, right?
Yeah.
So make
yeah,
sure
I
you
do that
had
to
it.
everything I do.
When are we getting those? Are we doing the clown nose or the hog noses? I thought Matt was sending those out to us. Or do we
Dude,
never
I would-
respond to his text?
No,
Yeah,
I did respond to him. I told him I would get them. I gotta send them to him. I was looking at the clown noses.
Can you do it today? Can you do that today?
I can do it today. You know what I got stuck on is that I was looking at all the options on to find the best clown noses to buy because I don't want to buy the cheapest
analysis
one. I can't do it.
paralysis, right?
Yeah, it happens to me every time.
Simon knows.
Oh yeah, and then you type in, and Coop, I know you do the same move as me. My girlfriend's always like, "Why do you type that in?" And I would have typed in like "best clown nose Reddit," and I want to go see. I want to see like
Amazon.
I want to see a
sponsored all the
thread
time
on the clowning subreddit where they're talking about like the best value clown noses because out there's like an in-depth discussion.
There is right here.
Dude.
Dude. Yeah. Clown nose that I got from Pro Nose. It looks like the best. I'm not even kidding.
Pro
I'm not even
Nose.
kidding. Red Nose Factory on Etsy. Their noses don't require string or adhesive to put on. Someone goes, really? Yep. I'm on the.
Yep.
So if you go on the clown
nose
subreddit,
Reddit?
yeah, I'm on the clown subreddit. So if you go to check out Red Nose Factory on Etsy and get some clown noses from here. They look pretty high quality.
I'll check it out, guys. Guys, we're about to play some hypothetically. Before we get into that, though, we had some questions come in the chat during break. Good morning, Dennis. Welcome, man. Thanks for joining us this morning. Dennis wanted to know, what do you guys think about the CEH Pacheco situation? CEH was better, but I hate the situation. Do you think Pacheco will take over? Will it be that weird split? What did your eye test tell you? Coop, what are your eyes telling you about this Pacheco CEH situation? What's going to happen here?
Oh, sorry, I missed it. I was looking at clown noses. What's the question?
I just wanted to know.
It's a completely changed.
Clown noses. Dude, these clown noses are $50 a piece. I think they're probably a little
Holy
too high
moly.
calorie. These are for like professional clowns. So
Hey,
that's what I
don't
that's
clown
what
the
I
clowning
want.
game.
I don't know.
I've said it before on the show. I'll say it again. The biggest house in my neighborhood growing up was owned by the clowns. It was a couple of clowns who ran like a very successful clowning business. And they were like the one house that didn't have to fit the style of all the other houses in the neighborhood. It was just like the big house in the neighborhood was the clowns.
What was his name? John Wayne Gacy?
Yeah, that was his name. And that was my neighbor growing up.
Classic.
Absolutely. But Dennis was curious about the CEH and Pacheco situation, saying CEH was better, but I hate the situation. And wants to know, will it be that weird split? Are we going to see Pacheco take over? What does your eye test tell you? Tell us what you saw with your pretty little eyes, Coop, between CEH and Pacheco.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pacheco is going to be the starter, but from what we did see, it's going to be a split. So he says he has an opportunity to pick up Michael Carter. I have Michael Carter ranked ahead of all those guys. And that's because, I mean, I know the Jets did lose. I think I got to see what happened. Elijah Vera Tucker might have got hurt, which would be a big problem. But the Jets' offensive line is good. So if you can get the singular back between that offensive line versus a split back for the Chiefs, I would go for Michael Carter. So I think I have Michael Carter ahead of both those guys.
So would you drop either of them to pick up Michael Carter?
I mean, so the thing you also have to keep in mind, right, with this team is that they're always willing to lean into the game script, and Jerick McKinnon is the pass down player. So this game they threw the ball a ton. Jerick McKinnon led the team in snaps. It doesn't matter who got the first snap of the game. If they pass, it's Jerick McKinnon that plays. So Jerick McKinnon got 28 snaps, which is like 44%. It's exactly 44%. And Isaiah Pacheco got 19 snaps, which is 30%, and Edwards-Helaire got 17. So it was split 3 ways. The whole starter thing doesn't matter if you have guys that have different roles. So Isaiah Pacheco, those guys are not super interesting to me compared to Michael Carter, who, if Breece Hall is out for the season, do they really even have another guy? Their third guy was Tevin Coleman. They let him leave. Who's the next man up on that team right now? The fact that none of us have jumped out and said a name says
no. It's Michael Carter.
Volume to me. It looks like Ty Johnson, Ty Johnson is a pretty decent pass catching back. He's like a pure pass catcher, but he's not running between the tackles. So they got to add
get that much work even with Breece Hall going down. They didn't. They gave him 1 carry for 3 yards and a reception, 6 yards. So
I'm more scared of who they add than anybody on the depth chart right now.
I guess to answer Dennis's question here, would you guys be dropping CEH or Pacheco whenever you go to pick up Michael Carter? Like, which of those players, or would it be Michael Thomas or Najee Harris? Those are the options. Like, you got to drop one of these guys. Are you dropping one of those to pick up Michael Carter? And if so, which one?
It was Najee, and who was the other one?
CEH, Pacheco, Najee, and Michael Thomas are the names. Lazard as well.
I would probably drop one of Pacheco or CEH, and I would probably drop CEH, I guess. Because if you have Najee and Michael Carter, when are you going to start either of the Chiefs?
Yeah,
I would drop Michael
week.
Thomas. Do you have any news on Michael Thomas?
I think I'm dropping.
If Michael Thomas is if you have, let's say it's a 3 wide receiver league, and you have Michael Thomas is your 5th or 6th wide receiver, then you maybe drop Michael Thomas. But if he's close to being in your lineup, you can't drop him. If you have all those running backs on your bench, then Clyde Edwards-Helaire isn't close to being in your lineup, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm with you, Coop. I think I'm going with one of the 2 running backs, unless we get news right away that Michael Thomas is out again. Like if we see that he's out again, then I'm a little bit nervous on that front. We had a question in here from Bronson. Bronson wanted to know, should I trade Josh Jacobs for Jamar Chase? So Josh Jacobs for Jamar Chase. If this is me, both of these are great players the rest of the season. It's entirely team dependent. Is Josh Jacobs your 3rd running back? Do you happen to have Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey as well? Then yeah, upgrade your wide receiver position. Otherwise, I'm staying put. I love Josh Jacobs the rest of the season.
In a hypothetical world where I'm picking one of these players for my flex, I'd rather have Josh Jacobs because running backs are harder to come by and their ceilings are higher.
Yep, it's Josh Jacobs for me as well. Bronson wanted to know again, is Kamara going to get suspended, or should I trade him? So Coop, you've been the one bringing this up repeatedly, that there's still a chance he could be out. You want to give Bronson some insight on how you view the Kamara situation?
Yeah, I think if you have Alvin Kamara on your team, you need to not only root for him, but you need to root for the Saints to win. Now that they're 2-5, we are entering the danger zone where coming up in 2 weeks, if they don't win another game before his court meeting, they probably just let that meeting happen. And then they try and eat as many games at the end of this season. I am trying to move Kamara right now. This team is 2-5. They're not going to the playoffs. I see no reason why they would continue to push this court date out and push the suspension to next year. If they could settle with this dude, just throw a bunch of money at him, right? Get him to settle immediately. Get the league to suspend Kamara for the end of this season, then come into next season fresh and actually make a run. So I am trying to move Alvin Kamara. We are in the danger zone. Danger zone.
Danger zone.
Danger zone.
I agree, Coop. Jail. We had a question in here from Adam. He said, morning, boys. I need the Pats defense to get 7 points this week to pull off a win. Do y'all think it will happen? Jail, is this happening? 7 points from Pats D?
Let's see. Who are the Pats playing in
Bears,
week 8?
Tonight. No, it's tonight.
Oh, this week.
This week,
tonight,
right now.
Tonight.
How would he know he needs 7 points from them next week?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Can you tell the future?
I hadn't gotten that far in my thought process. Yeah, I think that 7 points. Yeah, I think they get 7 points tonight against Chicago. Is one of the worst teams.
Exactly. Justin Fields is you love playing against him in fantasy because think about what Tua did last night. He would trust the plays. So he would get the ball and throw it right away. Justin Fields is the exact opposite. He loves holding on to it, leads to a ton of sacks. So I think you could easily get that with sacks alone.
If you like sacks, you're gonna like tonight. You're gonna like tonight's game. If sacks are what you live for, then just wait for Monday night. Turn that screen on. Sack Fest. Guys, I think it's time to get into our next game. We're going to play some hypothetically. If you got more questions, throw them in the chat. We will be answering these throughout the show as well. JL, you want to run us through some hypothetical situations?
Yes, I would. If this is your first time tuning in or the first time watching us play this game, this is hypothetically. It is a game that we sort of came up with, formed into our own uses here. I'm going to introduce a hypothetical question or a would you rather question, philosophical question, some sort of situation has been made up by me or someone. Contestants, the player here, contestants are going to ask questions to help them determine how they want to answer. And the only rule is to overthink the absolute heck out of the question. All right, fellas, the first prompt for you today and hypothetically is, would you rather have Jerry Jones salt your food or have Booger McFarland pick your boogers? Would you rather have Jerry Jones salt your food or have Booger McFarland pick your boogers?
First question.
Yes, sir.
Do I get to choose when Booger picks my boogers or not? Or is that up to him? Like, is he stepping in and being like, it's time? Or am I like, hey, I got one here. Can you come help me out?
He comes and picks your boogers like you need to have them picked. So if he feels like you're getting a little stuffed up and he comes and checks, he'll check every couple minutes. He'll be like, hey, let me see if there are any bats up in there in the cave.
So he's coming over like your mom used to when you were a kid, like, and you're like hanging out with your friends and she just comes over and like grabs your face and she's like, come here, you idiot. And she like cleans the boogers off your face and you're like, Mom, you're like, Booger, no. Come on, I'm with my friends.
Leave me alone.
Okay.
Sorry, Dustin, and you're saying Booger probably has massively thick fingers, so that's going to stretch the crap out of my nose holes.
I think we might have just answered the question already.
My God. Oh my God, Dustin.
Booger's thick fingers just stretching your nostrils out. Because I'm going to be honest, I got pretty honking nostrils already. Like, you may not know that about me, but like, I can fit a thumb up there, no problem, like straight in my nostril.
Bro, I got to call a timeout right now.
Okay.
Dude, Google Booger McFarland's hands. Dude, he's one of those players that like clearly got a bunch of broken fingers while he was playing because they are going every which direction. Like, dude, with his pinky,
is that real?
With his pinky, he could probably scratch your brain, bro.
That's not real. How does he do anything?
Dude, it clearly.
I can't tell this is photoshopped.
He's pinky finger in my nostril is what he's doing because he can get the good angles, like those ones that I can't reach. Where I'm sitting there like, God, I just can't get it, and you end up giving yourself a nosebleed.
Good.
Booger's gonna be like, oh yeah, no problem. He just has to turn his hand, and he's like, yeah, that spot you can't reach, I got you right there.
Dude, this is a whole thing. This is a whole internet thing. This is how disgusting Booger McFarland's hands and fingers are.
He could do gang signs just by waving. Like, look at
that's wild.
So okay, so what was the other one?
But I don't
even know what the other thing was.
Jerry Jones salt your food.
So I will say, Jerry Jones, in the same fashion, Jerry Jones does. He will come over and salt your food whenever he feels like you need salt.
And we know, and here's the thing we know about Jerry Jones is that he's putting salt on things that are already sodium bombs. Dude, there's a famous clip of him putting salt onto a McGriddle, like from McDonald's.
I thought it was an egg McMuffin.
It's from Hard Knocks.
Was it Egg McMuffin?
Egg McMuffin or McGriddle, yeah.
If it's a McGriddle,
pouring it.
Those things are already sodium grenades, regardless. Though, like, I'm fairly confident. So I don't know, man. That's quite a bit of salt. I know, Simon, you're a big salt fan, so you might. I was
going to say I salt the hell out of everything from McDonald's. When it comes, I ask for a lot of salt. Like in the drive-thru, I say a lot because otherwise they give you like 2 packets. Like that's enough salt for a person. I want like what I do with my McDonald's is I take all of the nuggets, all of everything, I dump it in a bag, and then I get as many salt packets as I think I can rip in one try. And I rip them open and I dump it in the bag and then I shake it all together. And I get just this salty, delicious, rip your mouth to shreds, fried food goodness.
Now, am I allowed to brush some of the salt off? Like, or is it I have to eat it the way it is?
You can brush it off, but that will only incite him to come back and pour more salt on.
To be like,
because he'll be like, oh, now you don't have enough salt in your food. Let me
all passive aggressively with that. Like, oh, I noticed that you didn't have enough salt. Like he watches me brush it off. He's like, oh, I just noticed that you didn't have enough. So here's some more.
Am I allowed to add more?
Absolutely, you can add more, but then Jerry Jones will start to add more because he'll start feeling like you're coming for his job. So he'll feel threatened, and so he'll add more too, and your food will likely be ruined. Although for you, that's probably just
it's like
normal.
when you pee too often, it resets the threshold for when you have to pee.
What Simon has to worry about. The thing was, if you said no for Simon, then his food could end up with not enough salt on it.
That's what I was thinking right there. Here's my
Mm.
problem. I kind of view both of these as positives. I don't have to get my hands dirty, like to pick my nose anymore. Booger McFarland's going to show up, take care of my boogers for me. That's annoying. Like, how cool would it be? I'm sitting here. You guys notice I'm getting a little stuffy. Then all of a sudden, like, Booger pops in frame, shoves his finger up my nose, like shoves his bent finger up my nose from off camera, gets a booger, walks out. Okay, see ya. And then, like, I sit down for dinner. Jerry Jones shows up. I don't even have to salt my food. What if I'm at a restaurant without salt? Know what I mean? That happens. This dude's going to show up with his salt ready to go. It's like salt on command. I'm trying to decide which one I want more.
I'll tell you right now, dude. I already have my answer. And you look at these hands of Booger McFarland, I'm already probably going to have nightmares, dude. Like, get those hands.
While you're sleeping, you're a little stuffy.
Get those hands away from me, bro.
Slide in real quick.
Get that off my screen.
Boy and let you back to sleep.
I don't care if I'm eating, cereal and Jerry Jones is putting salt in there. Give me the salt over these hands. They're disgusting.
I'm going with the salt. I'm going with the salt.
Going with the salt.
It's a net positive.
All right.
So is Booger, but I'll save him. That seems more embarrassing for him than it does for Jerry Jones.
I don't think
Double salt.
have you watched Booger's broadcast? I don't think he even cares about being embarrassed one bit.
No,
Right.
not at all.
Not a bit.
All right, let's move on to our next prompt here. Would you rather have Antonio Brown co-manage your most important fantasy team, or Russell Wilson reenact the war piece at a family talent show?
Okay, Antonio Brown. Oh my god. So I need to have Antonio Brown in my life. Like, that already would be a nightmare, dude. And then, or Russell Wilson enacts. How long is this enactment?
Are you talking about the novel, like the incredibly long novel by Tolstoy, like War and Peace? Like he's going to read the entirety of.
Okay.
So either I have to text Antonio Brown twice a week, or I have to listen to Russell Wilson read a book for 14 hours. Like, those are the options
at a family
right here.
talent show,
At a family talent show.
But he's
I'm
not just reading
up,
it; he's acting it out.
Oh,
I'm gonna look up how long the audiobook is for War and Peace to get a general idea. Oh, cool. So it is. I really undersold it. The audio book for War and Peace is 61 hours and 6 minutes. 61 hours. So
that's a long weekend, baby.
You got to cooperate with Antonio Brown twice a week. Know what I mean? Or just accept an L. Or you have to sit down and watch Russell Wilson perform a 61-hour book reading.
But I'm saying one long weekend with Russell Wilson and you're out, bro. Fantasy season is pretty long. You got to be talking to Antonio Brown, dude. Plus, I feel like, dude, hanging out with that dude, you're going to get in some all sorts of shenanigans. Does Antonio Brown have to be at the draft?
Yes, he does.
You're probably going to jail, dude.
What was his tweet this weekend? He tweeted something really awful.
It's good.
He just keeps tweeting
the picture he tweeted of Tom Brady photoshopped onto him as like a white dude going peace. Did you see that one? Did you see that? That's
the one. Oh, here it was. This was the tweet I was thinking of. He said, "Tampon Bay, Tom Booty, ya dig," was a tweet from Antonio Brown this weekend. The dude is off the rails. I do not like Antonio Brown, but I do think he provides an element of chaos that could make a league fun for a year. Know what I mean? Like he could really throw a wrench into what's going on right there. Like he could spice things up in a league, keep it going pretty well. With Russell Wilson, is there an intermission? Is there a break? Do we get to take a nap?
Has to be, bro. Has to be.
There is intermissions. You will break to sleep, and do your normal stuff. But it is a prolonged thing. It is a family talent show, so he does need to do it all at one time. You can't break it up over.
Here's the crazy thing about these, dude. If you were to swap which player does what, I think they would both be awesome positives. Like, if you could have Russell Wilson help with your fantasy, he's like such a dork. I guarantee he'd be awesome at it.
And he knows so much. Like, he probably knows a ton about football.
And then Antonio Brown is so ridiculous that reenactment would be amazing, bro. That would be that would be captivating.
You'd be tuned in.
Oh my
all
God.
61 hours. You're like, what in the world is this guy talking about?
But unfortunately, Russell Wilson's so boring that War and Peace would be awful. And then Antonio Brown's so insanely stupid, criminally stupid, so stupid that he declared that he was going to Alcorn State, and they were like, "No, you're not, dude. Like, you need to have you need to have done any sort of work in high school to go to Alcorn State. Like, it would be. It's the worst of both worlds on both sides, right?"
Dustin in the chat said Wilson would text you every day with some obscure stat and probably change the lineup like 40 times a day.
He would probably,
now that he's injured at home.
He would definitely be like putting in the most conservative players. Right, like he would definitely be.
Everyone's Hunter Renfrow.
He's like, we gotta get Hayden Hurst in there.
I think
too risky.
I think AB. I think here's the solution. You have AB as your co-manager, and you just play at a slight disadvantage every week because you're starting AB even though he's not on a team every single week. That'll appease him. Know what I mean? No matter what, you can say like, okay, we'll throw Antonio Brown in the wide receiver 1 slot, like put it in there for optics. And then you just play at a 1-man disadvantage each and every week. Or you get all your league mates in on it and you add 1 extra wide receiver slot to every team that all the other teams just leave empty, or put in a player that like isn't playing, is out of the league, isn't on a team. Like everyone gets one of those spots, but AB then gets to feel like he's the superstar of your team, and you get to set the rest of your lineups. No problem. That's the route I'm going. Me and AB are running the team together. I think that works for 4 or 5 weeks before he catches on. And then at that point, we've got a nice little cushion of wins built that if he wants to mess with things, we're okay.
All right. So taking the AB side. What about you, Coop?
So for me, my most important fantasy league is obviously the Pros with Joe's, because it raises money for a good cause across the board. Shout out Eric, a fantasy nav. He comes in all the time. That's easily the most important league I do because it's very personal to me. We raised a bunch of money for my buddy Drew, who had brain surgery, and just by the nature of how it all works here, that means that Antonio Brown to be my co-owner in that league, that means he donated to charity. And if it's Antonio Brown with the money he has, he's definitely not just donating like $5-10. So give me Antonio Brown and his donation to a good cause, and then we can come in dead last in that league, which we probably would.
I like it though.
Right.
I like it though.
Yeah. I like it as well. All right, let's move on to our final prompt. I see some questions here in the chat. We're going to hit them right after this prompt very shortly here. So we appreciate your patience. All right, fellas, here's your last prompt. This is your first command as captain of a space voyage. Funded by the NFL, your mission is to expand the game abroad program, and you're scouting new exoplanet locations to host a game next season. You're accompanied by first-time astronauts and NFL players Larry Fitzgerald and Saquon Barkley. Being in space with these men is delightful. You three become best friends. You play games every night, work, sleep, eat together. You tell each other funny jokes, roast after you turn off the lights before bed. You've been on this voyage together for 5 years. One day, you are awoken to an alert that your Russell gauge is malfunctioning. It will require a rather tricky repair sequence on the outside of the spacecraft. All three of you spacesuit up and exit the spacecraft and make your way over to it. Just as you reach the malfunctioning Russell gauge, the neighboring sun lets one rip, unleashing an atom gaseous cloud that's coming, skiddly doing right towards you. The green-yellow cloud rips past your spacecraft, knocking both Larry and Saquon off their tether lines and free floating away from you into space. You most likely only have the chance to save one of them. How do you do it?
This is easy. This is so easy. I'm imagining there is something on my person connected to a rope. Maybe it's connected to the ship. Maybe it's not. I'm imagining I can disconnect this from the ship. Larry Fitzgerald, how many times did they bring up on the broadcast that he had like 11 dropped passes in his entire career, right? Like until those last couple of years, dude does not drop the ball. He's so reliable. We've been living together for 5 years now on the spacecraft. Imagine the chemistry we have. I'm putting my life at risk. Saquon Barkley's younger. I think he's got a better chance of finding his way back to the spacecraft himself. Know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, Saquon, but this is me putting my faith in like you as the hoss that you are. Like, you're going to be able to figure this out. I know it. The only way all three of us are surviving is if I take the thing connecting my rope to the ship. I grab on. I'm holding on to the ship by my hand now, and I'm chucking it We're going deep to Larry Fitzgerald. All he has to do to save himself is catch one final pass, one last bomb from the worst quarterback he's ever played with, and our lives are all safe. And then we're pulling Mr. Fitzgerald in. It's attached to a rope. I know it is. I'm positive.
So you nailed the throw?
I nailed the throw without a doubt in my mind.
It's not Larry Fitzgerald. You just got to put it in the neighborhood, really.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't even have to
within
be
a 10-yard radius, and this dude's in 0G.
But in space.
No. The thing is, Simon, you missed the key move here is that you can save them both. You can save them both because before you throw to Larry Fitzgerald, you let Larry Fitzgerald, he's floating away. The person you actually grab is Saquon Barkley, and you pull him in to the spaceship as fast as you can. Grab him tight, pull him in, right? And then as he hits the spaceship, his legs come in first, hitting the spaceship, bend all the way down, and he uses those powerful quads of his, those monster hammer quads, to thrust or boost you guys back out into space. And then you throw it to Larry. Throw the tether to him, bringing everybody back home.
Oh, my God.
The quads save the day. Now the
quads.
You got to make sure that tether's tight, though, because if you get launched with Saquon quads and you're not tethered tight, you guys are going on a comet-level trajectory for the rest of time.
Oh, we've become such best friends that I'd rather the three of us just float through space aimlessly together than have to lose one of them. Did you know that NASA's actually experimenting with ways to use the power of AJ Dillon and Saquon Barkley's quads to launch rockets without using fuel? It's a new green energy initiative where they basically just stand on each side of the rocket and they do what I just described and just jump into space.
I have read that.
Yeah, Elon Musk.
I've done a lot of reading about
Elon Musk. They're powering that.
About how they're studying the power of friendship and how that can fuel rockets going forward. But I hadn't heard about the quad studies. If they combine those two, like if you can get guys who are friends with the quads of Saquon Barkley, it's going to be unstoppable. Also, Fantasy Dog in here saying Larry Fitz said the secret to catching a football is watch the point of the ball. Thanks, Larry. I was 62 when I heard him. I can't catch.
Thanks,
Larry.
Have you guys ever heard of how Jerry Rice got so good at catching? How he got such soft hands?
No.
His father was a mason. He was a bricklayer. And he used to go work with him when they were kids. Yeah, see, Tommy knows in the chat, bricks. And his dad used to
he's just saying bricks.
Bricks, baby. His dad used to climb up on ladders, on the second story of houses, and was taking bricks apart, like old bricks, and he would throw them from the roof down to Larry, who would catch them. So he literally spent his childhood catching bricks. So then when they were like, "Hey, catch a football," he was like, "This doesn't even destroy my fingers, dude."
Larry Fitzgerald
that was Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
His whole childhood he was catching bricks. So when they came around and were like, "Hey, catch this football," he was like, "Yeah, that's easy."
In high school sports, did you guys ever have to do brick laps? Where they give you a brick with no holes on the brick, a 5-pound brick. You have to hold it in each hand like this, just gripping it and run a mile. If you drop it, you have to start the mile over. You guys ever have to do that?
No.
How's that making you better at soccer, dude?
It was for wrestling. It helps with that grip right there. That was just some off-season wrestling nonsense that our coach
break hands.
Yeah, that was the first. That was your first class in archery class. They were like, all right.
That was class 3. I missed it.
Dropped it on his toe and re-broke it after the bowling incident. You guys ever see that Larry Fitzgerald commercial, the University of Phoenix one that they played forever years ago, where he called his mom on the voicemail, voicemail because she passed away and he misses her?
I don't know if I saw that. That's really sad.
I haven't seen that one. I have not seen that one.
They played it for years. It's it'd make you cry every single commercial. I was gonna say he still sends those from space.
Also,
I would let him. If he's doing sad stuff like that all the time, I'm letting him float away.
No, I'm saving Larry Fitz. I think Coop came up with the ultimate solution in this one right here.
You nailed this one.
I piggybacked. I couldn't have done it without you, son. We make a great team.
You know what? It was a team effort right there. Also, DJ Nightmare in here. What's up, DJ? He said, "Hey, some early morning fantasy talk. I dig it. I dig it too."
Let's hit some questions.
That's what we are about.
Let's hit some questions. Yeah,
early morning.
I like
fantasy and poop talk.
First question from Dustin. He wants to know, what kind of hillbilly juvie high school did you go to, Simon? Yeah, that's exactly the kind of high school I went to. No, Dustin, I went to a nice high school in Georgia. It was beautiful. I liked my high school. It was a nice public school, and we had great coaches who made us run miles with bricks in our hand. It worked out. I think we had some more questions in here. Where do we go that we had some of these questions? B Kings said, I had a trade question for y'all. Half PPR, just picked up Gus Edwards, and I have a trade offer for DK Metcalf. I'm heavy with RB depth and low on wide receiver. Is this fair? So Gus Edwards for DK Metcalf. Gus Edwards going to be the starter while J.K. Dobbins is out. DK Metcalf, we don't have information on how long he's going to be out yet. Coop, what are you thinking about this trade?
X-rays on DK Metcalf were negative. Do that trade immediately and don't look back. And don't let anyone veto it.
Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Coop. Make the trade.
With Coop. Also, I liked Mark Grefford in here saying, if Breece Hall misses the rest of the season, what do I do?
Cry.
But then he gave us a little bit more information a couple minutes later. Said, I'm 3 and 4 half PPR with JT Mixon, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Pitts, and Dak. On the bench, I have A.J. Dillon, Pickens. Should I go after anyone? With JT and Mixon, even with Breece going down, you're still pretty good.
I was saying, on paper, that team is sick, dude. Like you had to be pumped going into the season, having like Dak, Pitts, JT, Mixon, CeeDee Lamb. This has to be some sort of keeper league, right? Because you can't get JT, Mixon, and CeeDee Lamb in a normal league without some sort of keeper or a trade, right? They were all either first or early second round picks. Is that not right?
It's a solid team.
JT, Mixon, and
that's right.
Lamb, like that's not possible.
Mixon, I saw Mixon and Lamb as second or third round picks in some leagues, but not too late. Like to have all of those guys would still be ridiculous, though.
How would you get JT? So to get JT though, you would have to have like the first or second pick, which means Mixon went all the way to pick like 20. Maybe. I mean, maybe it's possible.
That seems crazy, but it's a good team.
Yeah, like this. If you had the first or second pick and they made it back to the swing, either way, I like sit tight with that team you have. You're looking pretty good. You might need to do something. You might need to add a tight end off waivers. If that team, I'm assuming that's a shallow team. If you were able to get those players, so look for an Evan Ingram or something like that. Somebody getting consistent targets because Pitts has the target share. They're just not throwing a lot, right?
Yep. We had another question in here from Tyson. Tyson wanted to know, in my league, that I have to bench one of Lamb, Godwin, or Waller. As my other players are Chase, Barkley, and Cook. Someone has to get benched. I got offered Waddle and Cook for JT. Should I do it? This way I don't have to bench a stud. 12-team half PPR. So Jalen Waddle and Dalvin Cook for JT. JL, are you making this move?
Jalen Waddle and Dalvin Cook for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I would make that trade. I would absolutely make that trade. I think Dalvin Cook is of a similar tier to Jonathan Taylor when both are healthy, but both are dealing with some stuff. And then you get Waddle on top of it. I'd make that trade.
No, I think he was on the other way. He was giving up.
And I would not do that trade.
And I would not do that. Yeah. I think I agree with what JL said. Just we want to be on the side of the trade with the two players. You think like these decisions, right? Like they sound like it's a pain to make that decision, but just wait till week 9. 7 teams are on bye weeks, right? Like wait until Breece Hall. People thought they could count on Breece Hall, gone, right? If you drafted Javonte Williams, you thought he was going to be in your lineup every single week. So having that extra player is important and it's helpful. So I would stick with it. There are 2 bye weeks this year where there's like 6 or 7 teams that go on bye. Those are going to be ugly weeks, and you're going to be happy that you had the extra guys. Let me tell you.
Don't sell low on a player just because they're on your bench. Just because your starting lineup is incredible, don't necessarily. Not that this is selling low, but that's a lot to give up, right? You're giving up 2 star players on your team, and we've seen week in, week out just how quickly situations can degrade on your fantasy team through injury, through bye weeks. Like it can get ugly fast.
Yeah, so here's what you do, Tyson. Tyson, go look at Alex peaked in high school. We have him on every single Wednesday, or come back on Wednesday to make the decision. But go look at his trade charts. Good trade market value for players, and that's kind of what you want to go based off of when you're looking to trade away players or make these decisions. Is to understand that you have an asset. If you're going to trade it away for what it's worth.
Yep. Guys, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit Monday Night Football. We're going to do a player prop draft. We'll be drafting the props that we think are most likely to hit, keeping track through tonight's game, and tomorrow someone's going to be the big wiener. Then we'll be recapping these week 7 games that have happened so far. And Tyler Dragon's going to join the show to help us do a little bit of that. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely, kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
They're always available too, it seems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine
Graham
every
Geno,
single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just at the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get the call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story if you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number 1 all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next 2 guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. And he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. He's like, you got a spot for me on the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
We can totally have that spot.
Right? They had to like cobble together a soccer team. Like, yeah, this guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like, Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom.
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story gets even crazier. Like, I should have looked it up again, but like, it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into our first player prop draft that we've ever done on this show. How it's going to work, guys, is all of us have a list of player props for tonight and a couple full game lines that you're going to be able to draft. We got some full game lines in there as well. You're going to pick one. Tell us what side you're taking, and that's going to be your team going into tonight's game. If what you pick hits, you're going to get a point. These are all relatively similar odds. You're going to get a point if what you pick hits. If it doesn't, then you're not going to get any points. Whoever has the most points tomorrow is going to be our winner. What do the losers have to do?
The losers have to do an impression that we decide.
Okay. It's an impression challenge, an impression bet.
Maybe let the chat decide.
Let the chat decide on the impression.
I have we do with animal noises.
Yeah, there we go. That'll be funny. And I'm really good at impressions, as we've learned through my Chewbacca impersonation. So should be no problem whatsoever. Before we get into that player prop bracket, I know we had one more question in here. Bronson asked us a little bit earlier about his Josh Jacobs for Jamar Chase trade, but he gave us a little bit more information about his team. It's half PPR, and the team consists of Christian McCaffrey, Fournette, Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, Gus Edwards, and Dobbins. Holy running back, B-Kings. Wide receivers are Jefferson, Lamb, McLaurin, and Bateman. So this is a stacked team, half PPR. Would you trade Josh Jacobs here for Jamar Chase?
Dude, that team is a wagon, bro. If my team was that good, I would be very wary of how this trade helps the other team. So I think I would just you have so many good players. I would just stick with what I have and don't do anything to help anybody else. Like
I'm with
Jefferson, like those wide receivers are sick, dude. McLaurin's your worst wide receiver. I looked it up before the game this week. Taylor Heineke has played 17 games, started 17 games for Washington, which is a very satisfying sample size, right? Like that's a season, right? Over those 17 games, he's thrown 123 targets to Terry McLaurin. Next highest player is like J.D. McKissick with 54. So he is dialed in on Terry McLaurin. With Taylor Heineke at quarterback, I'm very interested in Terry McLaurin.
So, and here's the deal. I'm a jackass, and that's actually the person who was asking about Gus Edwards for DK Metcalf, in which case make that trade. I got confused because I saw Jacobs in there as well. My bad, Bronson.
Yeah, sure, Bronson.
Bronson's team is Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Then he's got Kamara, Jacobs, Zeke, and Henderson. And wide receivers has Sutton, DK, Lazard, Jacoby, Thielen. Then the tight end has Pitts, Waller, and Higbee. It's a 2 tight end and 2 flex league. So the Jacobs for Jamar Chase in that team, would you be doing that?
Who are the running backs again? Sorry.
Kamara, Jacobs, Zeke, Henderson, and Melvin Gordon. I'm holding on to Josh Jacobs, man. I don't think you have the depth to running back.
I would try and trade Alvin Kamara, man. I really would. I and obviously this is just a prediction. It might not come true, but in talking to Drew Davenport, who's an actual lawyer, he says that it's a real possibility that they push the court date out to the day they did, which is early November, to see if they were in the run for the playoffs or not. I think there's a very real possibility that he ends up being suspended for the end of this season. The NFL is on the side of the teams and the owners and the players, no matter what kind of like fake Roger Goodell nonsense they put up there that makes it seem like they don't like each other. The whole job of the NFL is to appease the owners, and it's in everyone's best interest if the Saints aren't in the playoffs for Kamara to finish the suspension at the end of the year and then just come back and play next year. So I'm very scared of that. I would try and trade Kamara. So definitely look at that rather than trading Jacobs.
We got a question in here from Cam. Cam says, bye week got me. Which QB off the waiver wire would you grab for week 8? He's thinking Derek Carr or Daniel Jones. Perhaps Taylor Heineke. Coop, would you be going with Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, Taylor Heineke, or peeking somewhere else for week 8 quarterback?
Oh my God, dude. The
Raiders are playing the Saints, just so you know. And then the Giants, I'm not sure who the Giants are playing. I don't
Giants
know.
playing the Seahawks.
Washington's playing the Colts.
So there's your matchups.
The Giants could very well. Daniel Jones had a pretty impressive day running the football too.
He ran a lot.
I think I would go with Daniel Jones versus Seahawks. Feels safe. I mean, once again, the Giants are being disrespected by Las Vegas. They're not favored against the Seahawks, which is crazy because they're the best team in football.
You mean that's what
their record says.
The division leading Seahawks?
That's true, dude. Geno Smith, kind of a wagon. Eugene Smith.
We've got the 6-1 Giants going up against the division leading Seahawks. They are just like, this is absurd. It's truly upside down wacko world for this game this weekend.
That's football, baby.
That's football. That's football, baby. I'm going Daniel Jones as well. I like the rushing upside. I had to roll with him this week for a couple bye weeks. It worked out starting him this week, and I'm going to double dip if I have to for next week. Guys, let's get into our bracket or our draft right here. How this is going to work. We're going to take turns drafting. It's going to be snake draft style. So there's only 3 of us. Coop, I'm going to let you pick if you want to draft first, second, or third. Do you want that middle, or do you want one of the end spots where you're going to get 2 picks in a row?
I will pick. I'll let you guys go first. I'll pick the end.
Coop taking number 3. Jail, you want to go first or second?
I'll go 2.
Jail going 2. That means I go 1. So I've got my first draft pick here. Guys, how this is going to work, I explained it a little bit, but we've got a list of a bunch of different prop bets for tonight, plus the overall game. This game tonight, the Bears and the Patriots facing off. The Patriots are 7.5-point favorites with a 40.5-point over-under. So those are available as well if you guys want to draft those. The rest are going to be all of these player props. I am going first right now. There were a couple. I wasn't planning on going first, guys. I thought for sure someone else would pick to go first here. Yet here I am.
You thought for sure wrong.
Here's where I'm going to go first. I'm going to take David Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards. I'm going to take David Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards. I think the Patriots are going to try to shut down Darnell Mooney tonight. They're going to have to get the passing game going with these short yardage passes. David Montgomery is going to be involved. One good catch, he hits that, and that's going to be my first draft pick. David Montgomery over 10.5. Book it. It's going to happen.
10.5. What was it?
Receiving yards for David Montgomery.
Receiving yards.
That's a good one. I like that one.
That is pretty good.
Joe, you got the next
marking
pick.
that off. All right, I got the next one. Receiving yards. Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson season.
This is kind of interesting. Rushing yards, 63 from Ramondre. I'll go with I'll take Ramondre Stevenson, 63.5 rushing yards. I'll take the over.
The over on 63.5 rushing yards. So you think he's going to keep on rolling, that we're going to see more Ramondre?
I do, and I think this will be a very run-heavy game tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Damian Harris was a full participant this week, but even then, he's been it's been more Stevenson than Harris. So I could see that for sure. I think this one could be I think it's going to be one-sided. I'm putting money on the Patriots. I'm tempted to just take the Patriots to cover the spread here. But instead, what I'm going to take is Simon. You had the perfect thought process, right? The Patriots, what they like to do is they like to take away your best weapon. They like to look at what you do best and take it away. And they have the number 1 graded corner in the league right now in Jack Jones, a rookie, right? So you said they would take away Darnell Mooney. But instead of betting the under for Darnell Mooney, you were like, and therefore I will take the over receiving yards for running back. Like, just why didn't you just pick the bet you eloquently laid out?
No,
which is
the
under.
Too easy.
You're like, so therefore, right? Yeah. You went.
There has to be at least 2 wrinkles. We need 2 wrinkles to every story. That's just one wrinkle,
yeah.
Coop. I had to add the second wrinkle.
You laid out the math, and then you went with the philosophy. I think I'll just take the math. I'll take under Darnell Mooney, 45.5 yards. So give me that. I mean, I know that he's the kind of player that, one play he could do that, but I'm going to take that one. Yeah.
Well, Coop, you get a second one. You get a second pick right here.
I do get a second one. I'm disappointed, but not surprised that there's no Tyquan Thornton lines here.
I can see if I can find one. I didn't see any. I looked at multiple websites and I didn't see any, but I can check.
There's a lot of times where like guys like that in their second game, Vegas doesn't even want to deal with it. You no idea what the guy's going to do. So I'm not surprised he's not in there. What I will take instead of that is I'm going to take the over on Jacoby Myers, 4.5 receptions. I think this guy's led the team in targets for the last 3 years. I don't think the Bears have anybody that can really stop what he does. He's just like, with Jacoby Myers is, it's never been about the big games of big plays. It's always about the, death by 1,000 cuts, him getting open on 3rd down. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers. John Mpemba, who's with me on the Sunday morning show, 9 to 11 before your show, the Fantasy Alarm show. Definitely tune in for that. If you have start-sit questions, things like that, like that's all business, that show. But he sent me this clip of Jacoby Myers running what they say is the same route. It's an option route. And basically he ran it one way on this one corner and caught a pass. And that set him up to later run the other option. And he ran it the exact way he did the first time, but then pivoted and came back. And it's like, when you see stuff like that, it makes you realize how impossible it is to be an NFL cornerback. It's just like the hardest job in sports, in my opinion. Just like doing what the fastest guys in the world do, except you got to do it running backwards and guessing they know the play, you don't know the play. What a ridiculous job,
Absurd. So, I've had that same thought, Coop. Like it's insane. And then like whenever they get beat, it's like, oh, they suck. Know what I mean? Like they'll cover them perfectly like 7 times. They even did it yesterday on the broadcast, like during Sunday Night Football. They had like some backup corners in there, right? And they're like, oh, they're killing it. They're killing it. Like they're playing way above their level. Then all of a sudden Pickens makes one good catch. They're like, oh, wait, they suck again. You know what I mean? Like I know it's been 2 full quarters of killing it, but that one Pickens catch means we're back to square one with these idiots.
Dude. Yeah, it's like
they were so judgmental.
Just like
the stuff. Did you take For the Darnell Mooney 45.5 receiving yards, you took the under or over?
Under.
The under. And then
he's
the
gonna
Jacoby
get
Myers, you took what?
Over.
Joey Myers. I took over 4.5 receptions.
Okay. I just want to make sure I had those recorded down so that we could make sure we score these. I'm next, correct?
You are next, Joe. You got the next pick.
All right, next one I want to take is Dante Pettis under 1.5 receptions in this game.
I like that, dude. I like that.
Yeah,
Dante Pettis, just like last week, flash in the pan, right?
I think the Patriots have been shutting down the run game or the passing game. Chicago has been shutting down their own passing game. So I think this will. I'll take the under here.
This one's tough for me. This next one, I really fumbled the bag. I think on my first pick, like Coop, you're right. Like, but what either of you guys have picked David Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards?
I think it wouldn't have got back to you. I think that's a good play. It's just like when I was listening to you, I was like, a lot of good points being made there about
Darnell Mooney. And I'm gonna go with David Montgomery instead. No, here's what I'm gonna do next. Justin Fields, half a passing touchdown. I think he finds his way to the end zone today. He said it's 0.5, half a passing touchdown. It's just yes or no. Does he get a touchdown? And I'm saying Justin Fields finds the end zone through the air at least once. Give me a Justin Fields passing touchdown. So the over on his line of 0.5 for me is going to be my first one.
That's a fun bet. That's a fun bet.
That is a fun
because
bet.
It's like, I like those ones where it's like you're just done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just crushed my finger between my desk and my chair.
Woo-wee. You and Booger.
Uh-oh,
you got booger
dude.
fingers now.
Booger fingers now. Are you gonna have to cut it off to continue the show?
I think
Ronnie
so.
Lodfinger.
I think
Ronnie
so.
Lott.
I think it's gonna have
Ronnie
to
Lott
go.
it, dude.
Simon, sorry, you took Justin Fields passing touchdowns.
Dude, just looking at these
Justin
props,
Fields passing touchdowns.
let me call a
Over or under?
quick time out here. He said over. He said one. He says he throws one touchdown. But like just looking at these props, it really illustrates how boring this game is going to be. It's like all these players, betting whether they're going to have a reception or not, like or 2 receptions. Like usually when you look at props, it's like the receivers are like 5, 6, or more than 50 yards. This game is like sad. The second best wide receiver on the Bears, his over under for yardage is 13.
Hot.
That's trash, dude. That's complete trash.
Absolutely so hot. And I think for my next one, where I'm going to go, I just made a fun bet. I think I'm going to make a very not fun bet with this next one. I think I'm going to take the total under 40.5. I think this will be a low-scoring game. It's going to be run heavy for the Patriots. Justin Fields gets his touchdown, but I'm going to take the under on the total for tonight. So 40.5, give me the under. It's not a fun bet, but it's the one I'm going with. And so that means on my turn, on that turn right there, I took Justin Fields over half a passing touchdown and under 45 points for the game. Bale, it's back to you. I believe this is your last pick. We got 4 rounds of this one.
That's a good bet and a smart bet. And I will also add, boo.
Yeah, boo. Boring.
Boo.
Absolutely so boring.
You won't take you won't take the Keith bet.
The no touchdowns.
You won't go Keith Sweat on this.
I'll let you have it if you want it. You can have Keith Sweat if you want Keith Sweat, JL.
You can do it. It's such the lamest bet of all time.
We'll give you 2 points if you correctly pick that one. Right?
For those just listening for the first time or who missed it, our producer, his name's Keith, and he in the Thursday night Colts Broncos game bet that there wouldn't be a single touchdown in the game, like $10 to win 700, and he hit. So that's what we call the. If you bet that there won't be a single touchdown in the game, that's called the Keith Sweat.
Keith Sweat.
What an awful sweat. But the funny part is, like, the next week on Thursday Night Football, it was I forget who was playing, but it was a similar thing where, like, almost at the end of the first half, there were no touchdowns for a while there. But it was a great sweat because they kept getting down in the red zone. Know what I mean? And then not scoring. Like, it was non-ironically a good sweat the following week that you lost on. JL, you got one more pick here. So far, you have, to recap, you've got Ramondre Stevenson over 63.5 rush yards. So wait, no, you got 2 more picks. And you've got Dante Pettis under 1.5 receptions. Where are you going here?
I don't know. Let's see. Where do I want to go here? I
The
guess I'll
world is
just
yours.
do a similar thing. I'll take the under on David Montgomery's receptions, 1.5.
The under on David Montgomery receptions, going a little counter to what I said there. It's doubtful that both of us hit on that one, right? Oops, I just deleted it.
Probably not.
Dale taking the under. What was the line at? 1.5?
Yes.
1.5 receptions for JL taking that under. What makes you want to take that one?
I just don't think they'll use him much in the receiving game this game. I think they'll have to rely on the run game. Patriots defense most likely is going to just remove any sort of passing in this game. I think that the Bears are just going to have to rely on running a lot.
So David Montgomery under 1.5 to pair with your very exciting Dante Pettis under 1.5 receptions as well.
Keep sweat.
Coop, where are you going? Dale's got 3 of his 4 picked out. You've got 2 so far. The 2 that you picked last time were Darnell Mooney under 45.5 receiving yards and Jacoby Myers over 4.5 receptions.
So, real quick, Better Boss Matt in the chat says, "Is this the Jonnu Smith breakout I've been waiting for?" Matt, you are the keeper of the eclectic players between Richie James and Khalif Raymond. Though I will say Khalif Raymond,
Zay Jones,
good call this week on Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond this week. Better Boss is on him. He not only had 5 receptions for 75 yards, but he also had 2 carries for 20 yards. So almost 100-yard day from scrimmage for Khalif Raymond. That's a pretty good pull. That's a deep pull. The thing with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry is that they both operate very differently. Hunter Henry's very good versus man-to-man, very good in contested catch situations. That's why he's so good in the goal line. Jonnu's good versus zone. And this Bears team skews more man than most teams. I mean, like, there's a couple teams, like the Patriots play a ton of man-to-man, like a ton, like over 50% of their snaps. The Bears do play at times 35 to 45% man. So probably not, I mean, it's hard to say, but probably not the best spot for Jonnu. So I wouldn't bet on any Jonnu overs in this game. But, you know, with his play style, at any point, he could have a big play. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go all in, right? I'm going to double down. And I'm also going to take the Jacoby Myers 51.5 yardage total over. So I'm going to go over 5 catches for Jacoby Myers and over 51.5 yards and put all my eggs in one basket. It could be the conservative play to spread them out. But if I hit that, if Jacoby Myers has a good game, one of you guys is going to have to do whatever weird accent the chat comes up with. That sounds good.
Are we doing the 2 losers have to do the impression, or are we doing just the last place person has to do it?
No, the losers.
Okay. There's only one winner.
So one person wins, and then we pick 2 either accents or impressions for the losers to have a conversation in.
I like that.
Or I get to moderate. You have to improv a combo, or I get to moderate a discussion.
Yes, I like that even better.
And I like that I've already declared myself the winner. I'm like, I get to do that.
Yeah, I get to moderate it.
I'm like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but as you're saying this, like, I'm getting nervous. Like, I'm sitting here like going like, oh God, like all the accents that you could pick or impressions that you could pick, where it's just gonna like hurt every time a word comes out of my mouth with how bad it is. Like those perfectionist tendencies are going to kick in, and I've got no perfection when it comes to any impression. Just not a single one can I do well.
I don't even have any. I need to know in advance so I can work on it. We got to figure them out because like I basically have a really bad English impression, and that's it. That's all I got in my bag of tricks. Hey,
I just realized I had picked a completely different prop stake, and then as soon as you asked me, I just blanked and just picked a different one.
Well, Coop still has one more to pick, so hopefully he doesn't take yours. And then this will be your last.
All this, right?
No, I picked. We're each doing 3, right?
Yeah.
I have my.
Can I go back and change it?
I have under on Moondog, and then over receptions and over yards for Jacoby Myers.
There you go. And I've got David Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards, Justin Fields over half a passing touchdown, and under the total of 40.5 for the game. JL, what do you got on your team?
Can I switch my last one? Can I get a ruling on this?
No, too late. Coop already made his pick.
Coop?
Yeah.
Keep. I need a ruling.
I say
fine.
I
you can.
I say let him switch it. I say let him switch it. But this is the last time.
I hope the one you're switching it from hits. I hope whatever you. That's the only reason I'm approving.
What did you pick? What was the one? What was the one you're getting rid of?
The new one I'm going to pick. The one I'm getting rid of is the David Montgomery under 1.5 receptions. I'm going to replace that with I'm going to take the Bears to cover the spread.
The Bears to cover the spread. Bold.
Good, because I was going to take the Patriots to obliterate the Bears, because the Patriots, think about what the Patriots have on their defense. That's why the spread's so high, is that they have Jack Jones, the number 1 graded cornerback. He's going to cover Darnell Mooney. And then they have Kyle Duggar, who just destroys tight ends. He's going to cover Cole Kmet. So what are you betting on? Equanimous St. Brown?
I'm betting on a low scoring game.
You already bet against Dante Pettis. So you need Equanimous St. Brown to go hamburglers.
Equanimous.
Oh, that's actually smart. Yeah. So the score is going to be like 9-3. Then and you would in the Bears cover 9-3.
The Bears cover the spread. I'm not saying the Bears cover the spread because they're good. I'm saying the Bears cover the spread because this isn't not enough points are scored.
Simon would like that. Yeah, that's entirely possible.
Let's see. We'll see. We got this. We got our 3 bets now. We'll see who gets the most points going into tomorrow during tonight's game. And then someone's going to be doing some impressions. 2 of us are going to be doing some impressions unless we have a tie for first, because that could happen. And then one person's just stuck all alone. Welcome in, Jay Wall. I see you in the chat. Says, I'm just here because the thumbnail says something about Burrow having his balls out. I'll wait patiently. Yeah, that's at the bottom of the hour. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, Jay Wall. But stick around and we'll be talking some hogs out, balls out, Burrow talk a little bit later in today's show, as well as some other games going on. And we're going to have Tyler Dragon join us to help break down this week 7 slate. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting, I'm going to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas. Like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you know, want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something, right, yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Hey, welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Show here on Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We just finished with our player prop draft. We got a competition going. Two of us are going to have to be doing some impressions of maybe your choice tomorrow. We'll determine what impressions we have to do, but we want your opinion on what these losers are going to have to do tomorrow. So Coop and JL, think about what would be funniest if they had to do an impression of and start getting those ready. Coop, you're not the only one that can overconfidently declare themselves the winner ahead of time. I got the same move in my playbook.
I kind of did it first though. You kind of.
I'm working on my impersonation.
Smart to follow with the strongest leader. So it's flattery.
First is the worst. Second is the best. Is
impersonation. Impersonation is the finest form of flattery. So thank you.
Jay Wall asking, do you guys answer all questions or just football questions? Asking for a friend. Well, tell your friend we answer pretty much anything.
If you want to ask any questions about the ending of the Red Sox season last night, and I do mean Red Sox. As a Red Sox fan, there are two ends to the season. There is when the Red Sox lose, and then the most important part of the season when the Yankees lose. So the Yankees, even more important is when the Yankees lose. So our watches come to an end, and I don't care who wins now.
One of my biggest joys in life is sports hatred. Like just like videos that showcase like fan bases just like with unbridled hatred towards each other is beautiful, because it's, some people take it too far. Don't get me wrong. Know what I mean? But like whenever it's harmless and it's just like, God, I hate those guys. Like it feels good. Whenever you see West Virginia fans, even though they haven't played Pitt in 10 years, chanting "Eat shit, Pitt." Whenever there's Giants fans in New York just like chanting about the Packers shoving cheese up their butts. Like I love it. I love it. It brings me so much joy.
The places, dude, like any given time of year in Boston, any different event, a Yankee suck chant could break out. Like if you're at, obviously, like so many Patriots Bruins games, Yankees suck chant out. But like I've been on like the subway on like a Friday night after the bars close, people are just like, Yankees suck, Yankees suck. It's like if one person says Yankees suck, the whole city is chanting, dude.
Now, Scott said Yankees fans are having a rough day. Their Packers also lost this weekend, and Alabama already has a loss. Been a rough year. You might want to go easy on them, Coop.
Oh man, yeah, just front runner fans.
Yeah, boo-hoo, life's so hard for those Yankees fans.
Yeah, my favorite.
I'm a Yankees. I was going to say the Lakers aren't doing too well either, right? Started the season 0-3. If they're Yankees fans, they probably support the Lakers as well.
I'm a Yankees fan, and my favorite hockey player all time is Wayne Gretzky, and my favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan.
Absolutely. He had a question for us. JL, you hit this one. This seems more your area of expertise.
This is. I'm the doctor on the show. I have this rash on my bum, and when I itch it, I get pleasure. Should I see a doctor or just keep doing what I'm doing? Asking for a friend. Well,
he said, I have this rash on my bum.
I have this rash on my bum, asking for a friend. Well, J-Wall, tell your friend that why not both? Keep scratching it, get that pleasure, and go see the doctor while you're doing it.
Right. So just I wouldn't give up on it at this moment, but you definitely should get it checked out.
Yeah, I mean you just gotta follow. You gotta follow your. If you're telling you scratch that itch.
And we should also preface this with not a doctor. Also, when I talk about Alvin Kamara, not a lawyer. So
I might be a doctor.
Might be.
Well,
I'm a team. Don't itch anything. Don't itch anything. It only makes it worse every time. Like if you just hold out. Every time I itch something, it's that moment of instant relief, and then it's like, I just ruined this. It looks worse. It feels worse. Everything about it is worse because I just scratched this. If you have an itch,
sometimes it's all right. Sometimes it's like, that was what I needed.
My girlfriend makes fun of me because like I swear sometimes my like eyeballs itch, and I love a good like eye rub where you just like rub your eyes so you're seeing shapes. Like that is my one, like I give into that pleasure.
You should go
like,
see
I will
an
scratch my eyes.
That's probably not good for you, dude.
Yeah, you should join Daniel Bellinger at the ophthalmologist.
You just gave us a whole like a whole lecture on why you shouldn't do it, and then you were just like, but I do like to do this one thing where I push my eyes into my brain until I see shapes. Okay, dude. All right, all right.
They impose shapes on my vision.
All right, Slipknot, dude, settle down.
we had some other questions in here, right?
Yeah, some real questions if I can find them. Ooh, where'd they go? All right, DJ Nightmare asking, would you give ETN and Devontae Adams for Travis Kelce. No, it's too much.
No, it's too much. It's too much. I'd give one of those players maybe for Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? Like even like Devontae Adams straight up for Travis Kelce, you're asking questions. But both of them, there's not a chance. I'm holding on to both those guys. Congratulations on having both of them on your team. That's going to be a fun rest of the year. But I understand the want for Kelce, but that's too much to give up, man. It's just too much.
And then Dustin asking, Coop, who's starting tonight, Mac Jones or the Zap Master, Bailey?
So everything indicates that Mac Jones is going to start unless he has some kind of setback. I mean, I guess that does happen from time to time, but usually whenever you hear those words, it means that player is going to play. So it's Mac Jones, baby. It's time. And I'm on board with it, dude. I think we have two. We're either starting Mac Jones or Mac Jones, other Mac Jones, which is Bailey Zappi. So I'm cool with it. The interesting thing about this, which John Pemba pointed out, is that now we've seen Bailey Zappi come in and sling the ball all over the field. Mac Jones has to step up and do that too now. No more being super conservative because now he knows there's somebody else that can get it done on the team. So I'm excited to see it. I want to see Mac Jones come out and be like, you know what? This is my team and kind of lay the hammer down on people.
I was tempted to take a trip down Narrative Street when we were having our player prop draft right there and take Mac Jones under passing yards. One, it should be a pretty rush-heavy game for the Patriots to begin with. But then two, if for some reason they do go down, Mac Jones throws a couple picks, there's a competent backup there now, one that we've seen come out, sling it, win a couple games for them. I don't think we see Mac Jones get benched. But, Coop, you're right. There's pressure there that there wasn't before. Mac Jones isn't just comfortable in this job anymore. Bailey Zappi applied that pressure a little bit.
Based on the way you were making your bets earlier, you would have laid out that whole narrative about like how, Mac Jones could get benched and that, and the under. And then you'd be like, and therefore, that's why I'm going to take Equinemius St. Brown with the over. Just go down Narrative Street and then take a sharp left to like take a totally different player like you did on the Darnell Mooney one.
100%. That's exactly how it would have played out, Coop. Guys, let's get into some of these week 7 games, break them down a little bit. The first one I wanted to start with was maybe the most shocking of the day. We've talked about it a little bit, but the Carolina Panthers taking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-3. And this one, Tom Brady, I don't know, asleep at the wheel, just not looking great, cursed by a witch. Something's causing him to look a little bit rough out there. Coop, what's going on with Mr. Tom Brady?
I mean, every year we underestimate how important offensive line is. Every single year. And once again, we see a team lose a bunch of guys in the offseason to injury, and then they're not that good. So, and you can look at a team like the Dolphins, go out and get the best tackle that's available in free agency. All of a sudden, they're very good, right? So, offensive line, I think, is the big problem here. And then also, Tom Brady not getting any younger. What do you think, JL? Do you think it's a lot of this falls on Brady, or what do you think the issue falls here?
Swansea Sea Snakes thinks it's Brady. Says the Brady death spiral has begun.
He's also a Patriots fan.
Also a Patriots fan, so maybe a little motivated reasoning there. I think I think it has to do with a lot of the rest of the team. Their offensive line is not as good. But I do think that Brady is obviously a major factor of that. And it sounds like he's probably dealing with some stuff, right? He's going through a pretty major transition in his life. And it's understandable that, that might be affecting his play somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, Brady doesn't look like the Brady we've seen in recent years, but I do think if you put a solid offensive line in front of him, we still see a highly successful Tom Brady out there on the field.
Muscle memory, right? Like he just he knows how to do it. He'll go out there and do it.
It's a great, Joe, you made such a great point that like for 20 plus years, we've seen Brady talk about literally nothing during the season. Definitely not his personal life. And now he's out here talking about his personal life. Something's definitely off. So good point there. Because, when he was with the Patriots, dude, he was towing the company line. You don't talk about anything.
Yeah. And it's, that's tough. It's tough to go through something like that in the middle of a season where you're all focused on everything else, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Even when he's not playing well, though, and this team isn't scoring any touchdowns, obviously not a touchdown scored for them in this game if they only got 3 points, he was still able to support a couple receiving options. 15 targets for Mike Evans, turned that into 9 receptions, 96 yards. And Coop, like you mentioned earlier, should have had a long touchdown. Dropped that one, should have been in there. Chris Godwin also had 13 targets for 7 receptions and 43 yards. Coop, this is what you like to see. I know other players were involved here, but 15 targets to Mike Evans, 13 targets to Chris Godwin. Is this the formula for the Bucs going forward? Like, You got to be pretty happy if you're a Godwin or an Evans manager.
Highly consolidated target share. That's what we want, dude. And when I go back and think about that play, had Mike Evans caught that, I'm wondering if they would have thrown the flag. He kind of did shove that cornerback on the ground, and they were beyond 5 yards, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm wondering if had he caught that, the rest would have been like, all right, dude. Like, when you look at that play, he really did kind of put that guy on his back. Maybe Evans was thinking about that too.
So maybe we're playing what if with a situation that would have gone negatively for them anyways.
Yeah. But Chris Godwin, 94% of the snaps. Mike Evans, 88%. K. Dotton did play a ton like we thought, 81%. And he got, if you were looking for a DFS play for $2,700 on DraftKings, what you got from K. Dotton is exactly what you hope for, right? Like, he went out and gave you probably 3x value just by having, 4 catches for 64. Not bad.
Hot for a tight end, right? Tight end. He's tight end high is what he is. K. Dotton. Because tight end high. That's
like Midwestern hot chicks.
Yeah,
like,
Midwest hot.
Yeah, they're like an 8 out there, and then they come to LA and they're like a 4. That's tight end. That's tight end hot. You look at it and you're like, great game.
Oh,
but if that was a wide receiver, if that was a wide receiver, you'd be like lame.
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
You just change your scale a little bit. Change your scale. Like, ooh, 4 catches,
Rocking here,
40 yards.
Rocking here asking, fellas, I had Breece in a 10-team full PPR. Still got Eckler, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, Rashad White. Do I trade DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Olave, and Mooney, or Mooney, I guess, for more running back help?
Nope. Just start, just start a wide receiver at the flex and start Eckler and Kenneth Walker. And when it comes down to it for bye weeks, just either start Tony Pollard or Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you.
I am also with you guys. I think you've got solid depth at running back. Eckler and Kenneth Walker as your premier guys, and then Brian Robinson, Pollard, and Rashad White to back them up. That's solid.
You got a lottery ticket in Rashad White. I know it sucks that Breece Hall's down, but like, you're in a pretty good position, man. There's a way worse running back position you could be in. Eckler and Kenneth Walker is a great starting running back duo for the rest of the season. Like, you're thrilled.
Yeah. And Will in here saying, same old Yankees, ignore the small ball and depend on the home run. They're like a slow pitch softball team. Hitting slow pitch is annoying. It's so annoying. Have you guys ever played slow pitch softball?
I have, dude. I have.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm like,
it feels
trained in baseball. So I just have such a hard time, like, swinging upward.
It makes you feel stupid sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just horrible at all bat sports. I can't swing a bat and hit a ball to save my life. The one season I played baseball, I made it on base one time. It was from a walk. That was the only time I made it to base. It was pretty brutal. Guys, joining us right now, we've got our friend Tyler Dragon joining the show to help us break down some of these Week 7 games. Tyler is an NFL and track and field reporter over at USA Today and formerly a Bengals reporter at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on with us today, my man.
Thanks for having me on. It's good seeing you three again.
Yeah,
good seeing you, my friend. Happy to see you
this morning, Tyler. What's up?
Enjoy your Week 7 games?
Oh, man, there were a few upsets, few surprises. I didn't do too well on my picks. I know I picked the Chargers to win. I definitely picked the Packers to win, and then also the Buccaneers. So those 3 teams let me down. But other than that, I think I did okay in my picks.
The thing is, though, with a week like this, man, like if you had picked all these games right, we would have called you stupid on Saturday. And then Sunday morning I would have called you an idiot. I'd be like, this doofus is picking the Panthers to win. What are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes it's okay to be wrong as long as the process is right. Right.
Okay. I like the optimism in the morning. That's before I have my coffee, so it's good.
Yeah, we're gonna let you slide. The Buccaneers were 13.5-point favorites, so we're gonna let you slide, not having the Panthers in that one.
We were just talking.
They need an intervention.
We were just talking a little bit about these Bucs and about Tom Brady specifically. Wondering, is this the offensive line? Is he losing a step? What do you see whenever you look at Tom Brady out there? Do you think he's lost a step? Is it the personal issues going on in his life distracting him? What's happening?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Father time is definitely knocking on that door. He's 45 years old. What can you expect? The offensive line has not played well, particularly the interior of the offensive line. And the receivers, Mike Evans dropped a touchdown pass yesterday. We can't forget about that. That was a perfect pass by Tom Brady. Could have easily shifted momentum in that game, and he dropped a would-be touchdown. The defense has underperformed. How do you allow P.J. Walker and the Panthers to march up and down the field and score over 20 points on you? This is a Panthers team I just saw at SoFi Stadium look awful against the Los Angeles Rams. Couldn't get anything going. Oh, and that was with Christian McCaffrey. So they're without their best overall player on offense, and they really looked good. That was probably their best game all season against a Tampa Bay Bucs squad with Super Bowl expectations. So I can't point every single finger at Tom Brady. He doesn't get all the blame, but he gets some blame. That offensive line gets some blame. And that defense, Todd Bowles is the defensive-minded head coach. That defense has underperformed as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they really wanted to stick it to Matt Rule, huh? Like, just come out and first game back. Yeah, they all got together and were like, let's show everybody how bad this dude is. So, Tyler, I wanted to ask you about a player that had a big game this week. You specifically, because I know that you have a unique perspective. You're not just an NFL guy. You were a track and field athlete yourself, and you cover track and field. So I want to ask about Marquise Goodwin. Like, how impressive of an athlete is this guy to be able to both play NFL football and be, do track and field at a very high level, right? Like, he's done it at the Olympic level. Is that not true?
Yeah. He was an Olympian long jumper. He didn't medal, but still, he's one of the best long jumpers in the world. You can see his speed out there. He beat J.C. Jackson a couple times, even before J.C. Jackson got hurt. But yeah, it is very hard to do it on an Olympic level and then also be in the NFL. We've seen a couple guys do it around the league, but it is extremely hard, especially long jump. Long jump isn't like, it doesn't particularly translate a lot to football. I mean, you're not really trying to jump long in an NFL game.
That's true. That's true. It would be way cooler if you were, though.
Right.
A really long hurdle.
Right. That is true. However, the speed and the explosion that it takes to long jump and jump far, that definitely translates to an NFL football field. A lot of times in track and field, you see like throwers be offensive linemen or defensive linemen, and the speedsters be guys like a wide receiver or a cornerback anywhere in the defensive backfield.
I was just thinking about situations where like the long jump motion specifically would come into play, and there's pretty much none. Like maybe a guy falls down, so you have to jump over him to make the catch. Like, I don't know, but yeah, you're right. It does not.
but that explosion during the snap, you have to think about it.
True.
When you use your thighs, your knees, your ankles, when you're exploding, that definitely helps when the quarterback snaps the ball, especially in press coverage too. If you got explosion, you can get off press well.
That makes sense. Yeah. The long jump thing I was just thinking is a funny image in my head that you conjured, Goop, because like as soon as you land, it's like you don't have you're not in a position to then keep running.
Yeah,
you're like the legs
why
spread.
would you be jumping feet first in any situation?
Hey, that it would be interesting to see somebody try to do that, trying to get a first down, like in a 4th and 2 situation. They get the ball and try to long jump.
Yo, but they're just gonna get hit
like 2 yards
midair is what's gonna happen. He's gonna go to long jump and then just
playing his ass in the ground.
I just picture afterwards the coach pulls him aside. He's like, "Don't ever do that again."
Yeah. What the hell are you thinking?
Hey, what are you doing, dude?
Save that for the Olympics, man. There's a time and place.
He did that as a celebration for one of the touchdowns, though. You got to go back and see it. He did the long jump in the end zone. And honestly, in my mind, whenever people do that, they do because I know like I've seen like Tyreek Hill and Nyheim Hines do the flips and stuff. In the back of my mind, I'm always like, this is such a like high risk, low reward move. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? Like, if he hurt his ankle doing a long jump in the end zone, I would have been like,
He'd never do that again. He's done it before, though. He's done it before.
Yeah, he probably knows what he's doing. It's just in my mind, I'm like, don't do that, dude. Don't do that.
Just like the flips in the end zone. Like,
yeah,
that can go terribly wrong.
Right, dude. Just spike it, bro. Like, yeah, just you're good, man. Give some high fives, right?
Right.
Do a little dance.
Right. That's all you got to do, dude.
Tyler, I know you used to cover the Bengals, and the Bengals had a big win this weekend. That offense looked incredible. Joe Burrow absolutely on fire. 481 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. There was chatter, I feel like, at the beginning of this season of, this Bengals team is overrated. It was a fluke they got to the Super Bowl. The offense isn't looking like it was supposed to, but Burrow the last 2 weeks has looked like the dude that brought him to the Super Bowl. Was this just a matter of this offense starting to gel? Are we going to see more of this high-powered Bengals offense going forward, you think?
Yeah, they had a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, definitely, to begin the season. Their offensive line has played a whole lot better, and Zach Taylor's helped Joe Burrow and that offense out by calling plays with quick passes, quick reads. At the beginning of the season, a lot of the Bengals pass plays took way too long to develop, and that was also causing Joe Burrow to get sacked a lot. Now you see a lot of quick reads to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, slant routes, quick outs. And, the offensive line, they're not giving up nearly as the amount of sacks as of late. So this Bengals offense, they're clicking right now on all cylinders. And yesterday was just another sign. They put up over 30 points against the Falcons squad. Which has played pretty well as of late. I know they're dealing with some injuries, but it seems like, especially that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase connection, they're back on now. They're back on and looking like one of the best connections in all of football.
And if you got a guy like Jamar Chase, man, it's like, get that dude the ball, let him make the magic happen, right? Like that's what the Dolphins are embracing that now too. And a lot of that is trusting play calling, in my opinion. If you don't trust the play calling, you're not going to let the ball fly early, and I think that's a big problem Justin Fields has, right? For the game tonight, you look at Justin Fields, he's holding the ball onto the ball way too long. He's I had a stat on him, believe it or not, most guys on dropbacks throw the ball about 90% of the time. Sometimes it's a sack, sometimes it's a scramble. Some guys throw it 85. Fields only throwing it 67% of the time. He's just holding on to it too long. So while we're on it, that's the game tonight. What are your thoughts on this Bears Patriots game? Do you think the Bears have a chance here, or do you think this is going to be Bill Belichick just kind of shutting down the big options and taking this one down?
I think Bill Belichick is going to confuse and fluster Justin Fields. And you're right. Justin Fields definitely holds the ball too long. I don't think he's seen the field that well. The game is a little bit too fast for him. And that just comes because, he's a young quarterback. He needs a little bit more snaps under his belt, a little bit more experience. Because even the game last week, he missed some easy reads, some players that were wide open. He wants to see receivers open before delivering the ball. And you see that a lot with young quarterbacks. So on tonight's game, I do believe Bill Belichick and that Patriots defense is going to rattle and confuse Justin Fields, and they're going to get the win. They just have a better overall team right now.
Historically speaking, that's Belichick's been great against. He's been great against young quarterbacks, and he's been great at taking away the one thing you want to do. And this is a team that does not have many weapons. So I think it's
a team that only has one thing they want.
Has one thing.
That's what I was going to say. I don't even know if they have one thing they're going to do. They probably want to run the football, but Bill Belichick and the Patriots will stack the box and force Justin Fields to beat them with his arm. And he hasn't proven that he's capable at this point in his career to beat teams with his arm.
Do you think there's still hope in Fields? Like, you think you don't think they should be looking at drafting another quarterback, and they should keep riding with it, or where are you at with that? Because I know with some guys it's easier to give up than on other guys. So with a guy like Fields, do you think he should have a long enough leash, at least another season, or where are you at with him?
Yeah, I do think he deserves at least a next season, maybe even more. The Bears need to give him some help. I mean, he doesn't really have a true number one wide receiver, not a legit pass catching tight end. I do like their running back position, but then you have to look at their offensive line as well. Their offensive line is sub-mediocre. So he's not playing with a whole lot of talent around him, and that also affects his play. Now, yes, he does make mistakes on the football field. He's not seeing the field particularly well in reading defenses, but his receiver dropped the would-be touchdown pass that could have won the game last week. Is that Justin Fields' fault? It hit him right in the hands. So
that was a great throw. Yeah, that's
right.
tough. He had two chances to catch it. Caught it on the third chance. If he just caught it on the first or second chance there, he probably would have scored, right?
Yeah. So just imagine if Justin Fields had a receiver like a Jamar Chase on that level. I don't think Jamar Chase is dropping that pass. Justin Jefferson, he has no receiver in that level. So it also is on the Bears too to give your young quarterback some tools at his disposal. The Bengals gave him Jamar Chase. Look at Justin Herbert. He has Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. All these young quarterbacks. Tua now, Tyreek Hill. So you got to give your young quarterback some tools.
People Justin Fields, Velus Jones, and Equanimeous St. Brown. It's the same thing, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I hear all this, and I'm just like, they drafted Velus Jones, you idiots.
They have Darnell Mooney.
They're like Velus Jones, Jamar Chase, same thing. The Bears are loading them up.
People forget that Josh Allen had a 52% completion percentage as a rookie. It was like 58%. Then they went out and got Stephon Diggs. So
exactly,
I think you're right. I think they need to bring somebody in, and then we'll get a real read on it once they do. So all right, I'm in. I'm holding tight.
And I love the Moondog, but I'm not delirious that he's on the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson level. I think he would be a fantastic second receiver if they could get a true alpha, and then he'll be super fantasy relevant going forward. But I'm not delirious. You're 100% right, Tyler. They got to hook that guy up. They got to help him out a little bit before they give up on him.
Tyler,
maybe that jersey in the background. That's that DJ Moore right there.
Ooh, I would love that. That would make me happy.
I saw 12 DJ Moore.
Yeah,
David Moore.
You want DJ Moore on the Bears, dude? They're throwing the ball a historically low number of times. 19.
They don't have DJ Moore.
If they that's what they're missing. That's the missing piece.
Tyler, I saw that you tweeted last night. Not sure why Kenny Pickett didn't run there. He had a lot of green grass in front of him, a lot of teachable moments for Pickett in the loss. What did you see last night, just in the game overall, from Kenny Pickett? Do you think that he has the ability to grow into a starting caliber quarterback in the league? He'll be the guy there in Pittsburgh?
I saw glimpses. He has some bright moments, but he also had a lot of terrible moments trying to force passes in there. The game is too fast for him right now. And that's because he hasn't played a lot of NFL football, and you've not seen the field well. Same problem with Justin Fields. That you see that with rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks. And, that interception right there, that specifically what the tweet was talking about, he could have easily picked up 10, 15 yards, ran out of bounds. The Steelers could have had a first and goal situation with, at least another play or two, enough to go on the clock to, try to win that game or tie that game. So it was just an odd way to end for the Steelers. But the way he ended is typical of a young quarterback, not really knowing the moment and seizing the moment well. So I do think the Steelers will do fine with him. They need to upgrade that offensive line too. I love the fact that they have Najee Harris in the background that can kind of help him in his maturation process. He's one of the best running backs in the league, but their offensive line is below average.
They were spoiled for a long time with a good offensive line there with Pouncey and all those guys. So
those guys. My dad knows this guy who takes those guys fishing every spring. Or the old offensive line. It was big. They used to take out Big Ben and the old his boys Villanueva and stuff. He used to take them fishing every year.
That must be
those guys aren't walking through that door.
That must be a big boat, dude.
That was a big boat for sure. Real big.
If you're bringing 6 of those dudes on, it better be a 12-person boat.
They're calling Royal Caribbean to get that cruise ship out there so they can go.
That's hilarious.
Royal cruise ship, dude, for just a quick charter. I see a question in the chat here. Cole Kmet, big game tonight. I'm going to go ahead and say no on that one. Not only has Cole Kmet not been great, but Kyle Duggar is kind of a killer for tight ends. The Patriots have let up 4 touchdowns to tight ends this year. 3 of them came when Kyle Duggar was hurt. So that guy's kind of a problem for tight ends. I would not be taking any Cole Kmet bets tonight. So if you're going to bet on a tight end for a DFS spot, I'd go with Hunter Henry. That's what I'd go with.
Okay. Yeah, out of the two, that makes sense. We got a question in here from Rendon. Tyler, maybe you could help us out with this one. He's asked, what do you think is Breece Hall out for the season, essentially? He traded Chuba Hubbard, Curtis Samuel, and Renfro for Michael Carter and Mooney. It's a great wide receiver and running back, so he wanted to hit a home run with Carter. What's your take on the Breece Hall injury situation, Tyler?
I heard it was significant, and he's going to get more tests today, but the Jets fear that it is a season-ending knee injury for Breece Hall, and that is a tough blow for that team. He was on pace to be an offensive rookie of the year. He had a pretty good game prior to that knee injury yesterday, but it's a tough blow for a running back that has a whole lot of promise.
And he looked great before the injury yesterday as well. It wasn't like he went out, like he was showing us again, like, yo, this dude's for real. Like he's the truth. Now, with Michael Carter, what are your expectations for him if he is the lead back for this team rest of the season? Is he plugging in near that like RB1 territory like we were talking with Breece, or is he a little bit lower? Do you expect him to perform well?
I would say he's a little bit lower, but he's a better pass catcher out of the backfield than Breece Hall. So you still get some production there, especially for fantasy as a pass catcher. But he's not the runner in between the tackles that Breece Hall is. So the Jets will lose a little bit running the football, specifically in between the tackles. But as a pass catcher out of the backfield, he is really pretty good at that.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is I was kind of looking at the depth chart. Because they were confident in Hall and Carter, they didn't carry a lot of running backs. The only other one that's currently on the roster is Ty Johnson. And he's probably even worse between the tackles, right? He's more a pass catcher. So wouldn't be surprised to see them go shopping around some practice squads looking for a bruiser,
Yeah, that will be a good look for them, especially, I mean, they're looking like a playoff team right now. So that running back position, that's vital for the Jets.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Tyler,
they could be in the market for a trade. Maybe if the Saints look like they're 2-5, maybe Mark Ingram, a guy that gets moved around a lot, seems to be able to pick up playbooks pretty quick. Who knows? We'll see.
I like that.
Keep our eyes on it. Tyler, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us, talk some week 7 football. Everyone watching this, if you're not already following Tyler and his work, make sure you're following him on Twitter at the Tyler Dragon, and check out his work over at USA Today. He's covering the NFL and track and field. Tyler, thanks so much again, my man. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me on. Y'all have a good day.
Enjoy the rest of your day, my man.
Appreciate you, Tyler.
Woo, good guy. I love whenever Tyler.
Tyler's the man.
That's a good dude. We had some more questions
coming
Tyler in the chat that I wanted to make sure we got to. Nick wanted to know who would be the better pickup to replace Breece Hall. So it looks like they had Breece Hall go down. Deonta Foreman or Gus Edwards. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Coop, you picking up Foreman or Edwards?
Oh, Foreman or Edwards. This is different from the one that says Gus or Carter. So those are the only 2 options. I think I would go with Deonta Foreman just because I trust that. Like, it's not the thing about what the Panthers are is that they're not going to go out and bring in something else to add to the team at running back. They just traded one away. Like, they're just going to go through the motions with Foreman and Chuba, and you just hope that it amounts to something. With Gus, they already went out and got Kenyon Drake. J.K. Dobbins is probably going to come back eventually. And then if he does come back, it's going to be at the worst possible time for your fantasy season, which is down the stretch, right? We're talking about the whole goal is to win the last 3 weeks of the season in your playoffs. So I don't like these expiring assets as much as somebody that could start the whole year. Now, I know Gus Edwards is probably a lot safer, but I don't know. Like, how are you going to feel when it comes week 15 and you have to put somebody in your lineup and the backfield for the Ravens is J.K. Dobbins, Kenyon Drake, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson? You're not going to feel that good about it, right?
No, you're going to be unhappy. I'm with you. It's Deonta Foreman for me as well. JL, similar vein, but this one is a different player. Gus Edwards or Michael Carter rest of season, coming from R. Avila.
It's Michael Carter for me. I agree with Coop's reasoning on Deonta Foreman. both Deontay Foreman and Michael Carter have the opportunity to be the one on their team. Gus Edwards, even if he is the one, he'll still be sharing work with Kenyon Drake.
Mr. Scamper saying he'd be shocked if we saw Dobbins again this season. Do either of you guys share that sentiment from Scampers that we're not going to see Dobbins again?
I wouldn't be shocked. But it is within the realm of possibilities for sure.
Right. Now, the thing about Michael Carter, so talking about what I just talked about the winning your league, this is why it sucks so bad that Breece Hall is out. Assuming your league is a normal one where you don't play the very last week of the season, right? Your season ends in week 17 and it's a 3-week playoff. These are the playoff matchups for the New York Jets. They get week 1 of the playoffs, they get the Detroit Lions. Week 2 of the playoffs, they get the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 3 of the playoffs, they play the Seattle Seahawks. Like, you're not going to get a better playoff schedule than what the Jets have. That's why it sucks so bad that Breece Hall's out and why Michael Carter might end up being the top ad this week. I mean, he feels like it's me because, like, if he's the guy on a good Jets team playing terrible teams to end the season, let's go, boy. Let's go.
That's what you want. I'm with you right there.
So I saw Mr. Scamper said earlier, we didn't acknowledge it. Good morning, FYFers. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. Glad to see you, my friend.
What's up, you FYFer?
You little chat cat.
Josh had a question for us. He said, I traded London and Thielen for Pickens. Did I win or lose? I still have Deontay and Hill for wide receivers. First, before we go through this, Josh, I hate thinking of trades in terms of win and loss. Even whenever you win, because one, we're wrong so often and team need plays a role, right? If both of these guys are on your bench, you were looking for a lottery ticket, like maybe the value doesn't matter as much to you. From a pure value perspective, yeah, man, I think I would have rather have London and Thielen. I think I would have preferred to keep both of those guys on my team, but you have Deontay and Hill as your starting wide receiver. So I understand maybe trading those guys for a lottery ticket for a rookie that has had some big plays. I'm not sure I would have made the move though. What do you think, JL?
Yeah, I'm with you as well, Simon. We both agree on that take about the win-loss on the trades. Got nothing more to add. I'm
like, honestly, dude, I love hype, right? Like, hype is fun. But our job is more fun with more hype. But what is George Pickens doing that Adam Thielen isn't doing? Like, Adam Thielen is pretty much the same dude, right? Getting 5, 6, 7 targets, scoring a touchdown, or he's not. Like, when I look at George Pickens, is he that much better than just straight up Adam Thielen? I'm not even sure. Like, so I don't know. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Pickens. But I think in terms of points per game, doesn't Adam Thielen have more fantasy points per game right now than George Pickens?
Yeah. I mean, it is also a rookie wide receiver, right? So you expect it maybe to pick up you expect it to pick up as the season goes on, as they're getting used to this offense. But I mean, historically, we see that trend with rookie wide receivers. The second half of the season is not all the time.
Not all the time, but more so than like a vet like Thielen, who you expect. Yeah. Like, you don't have that ramp up time as much because it's easier to get right into it.
Well, let me give you another example. What about a guy like Drake London? Maybe he ramps up. He's a rookie, right? You're also trading him away on top of Thielen.
Yeah, that's for sure true. Now, the other thing with Drake London is we did see him with that heavy involvement early in this offense, right? Like, the trend for Drake London right now is negative. I think the trend for Pickens is positive. Like we're looking a little bit at these trends as well.
But I'm just saying, like, right in this very moment, Adam Thielen has more fantasy points than George Pickens, and he didn't even have a game this week. Adam Thielen already had his bye week too, so you can use him for the rest of the season. So for me, I don't know, man. I don't know if I don't even know if I would trade Adam Thielen straight up for George Pickens. Might be a hot take, but I like Thielen. He's a good player.
That's
and
fair.
It's highly consolidated targets among the top 2 guys, which is huge.
Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. We are going to be live back again tomorrow from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time, so make sure to tune in and hang out with us then. Until tomorrow, though, we're out of here. Adios, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.